Chapter 648. Human. Hurry up and hand over the experts of my great sky sacred land. A majestic voice resounded through the surrounding void. The huge bolt of lightning in the sky disappeared, and a tall 8-armed man appeared. Behind him floated the phantom of a giant hammer that was 1,000,000 kilometers tall. It was Celestial Venerable Dark Ink of the great sky sacred land. He looked coldly at Skypiercer Tower below. Celestial Venerable Dark Ink. A cold shout rang out. Jiang Xi walked out of Skypiercer Tower, reached out, and shrunk the tower into his palm. He looked up at the colossal Celestial Venerable in the sky. Celestial Venerable Dark Ink, you sure are impressive. The fate of your 54 universe realm Downlords is in my hands. You have a favor to ask of me, yet you dare to be so arrogant? Humph. Celestial Venerable Dark Ink snorted and said coldly, Speak. What will it take for you to let them out? He restrained his anger. After all, Jiang Xi was speaking the truth. He couldn't ignore the fate of 54 universe realm Dao Lords. Simple. You come in and they leave. Jiang Xi pointed at Skypiercer Tower. As soon as these words came out, the alien Dao Lords who had been watching from the sidelines were all shocked. This Dao Lord of the Mountain Sea had really gone mad. How could the lives of 54 universe realm Dao Lords be compared to the lives of a lofty third-step Celestial Venerable? After all, there were only about 10 third-step Celestial Venerables in the entire Chaos Sea. Impudent! Celestial Venerable Dark Ink roared angrily. You're provoking me. You're courting death. Provoking? Jiang Xi laughed. You're wrong. This is an insult. Celestial Venerable Dark Ink was even angrier. At the same time, he understood that Jiang Xi had been waiting for him from the beginning, not only to take revenge on the great sky sacred land, but also for that palm strike. It seems you're not willing to hand them over? Celestial Venerable Dark Ink looked down. I've never thought of handing them over. Jiang Xi sneered. Hongran Huyin. Celestial Venerable Dark Ink stood in the sky and suddenly said a bunch of names. I'll avenge you. Upon hearing this, the alien Dao Lords who had hidden themselves within their flying treasures all grew excited. They understood that Empyrean Dark Ink's words meant that he had given up on rescuing the 54 Dao Lords. Clearly, the battle was about to begin. Dao Lord Mountain Sea, I'll make you understand how foolish it is to provoke a third-step Empyrean. Empyrean Blue Sink suddenly roared. The 1,000,000-kilometer-tall giant hammer shadow behind him suddenly grew 10,000 times larger and smashed down on the giant stone celestial body. The power was so great that everywhere it passed, the void was shattered. This attack, Empyrean Dark Ink, is too strong. We're so far away, but we're still affected. The alien Dao Lords who had been hiding within their flying treasures were so terrified that they hurriedly took control of their treasures and scattered in every direction. In order to watch this shocking battle, they were even willing to risk their lives. Fortunately, Empyrean Dark Ink did not target them. But of course Jiang Xi had no intention of attacking these alien Dao Lords. Boom! The giant hammer shadow that seemed capable of destroying heaven and earth smashed down on Jiang Xi, who was on the giant stone celestial body. Haha, good timing. Jiang Xi was looking up at the sky. The height of a human seemed rather small in front of Empyrean Dark Ink. However, Jiang Xi's aura did not lose to his opponent at all. Kill! Jiang Xi slashed out with his Tier 8 ultimate treasure, the Shadow-Slaying Sword. Sword light lit up and instantly streaked across the void. Then, the light suddenly exploded and gathered into a huge black and white sphere. Countless sword lights with a destructive aura were compressed into the black and white sphere. In an instant, the diameter of the black and white sphere reached 10 billion kilometers. Poof! The black and white sphere suddenly exploded like a bubble. A resplendent sword light flashed and swept directly toward the giant hammer shadow that was descending from the sky. Tier 7 Secret Technique. Mountain Sea Sword Sutra Heavenly Dao Volume 3, Destruction and Rebirth. This Dao Lord Mountain Sea is too arrogant. He's obviously only using a Tier 7 secret technique. How can he block Empyrean Dark Ink's Tier 9 secret technique? It seems like Dao Lord Mountain Sea is only a so-so. The 11 Dao Lords of other races were watching the battle from afar. Ever since the 8 Cloud Ruins appeared, The experts of the various factions in Chaos Sea had also broken down the ranks of secret techniques and knew the characteristics and power of each level of secret techniques now. The Sword Dao secret technique that Jiang Xi used looked quite mysterious, but in reality, the power condensed was not as strong as Empyrean Dark Ink's giant hammer secret technique. Dao Lord Mountain Sea, you'll definitely lose today. If you let go of the Dao Lords of my sacred ground and follow me to the great sky sacred ground obediently, I can consider sparing your life. Empyrean Dark Ink snorted coldly. You talk too much. Jiang Xi sneered. Then die. Empyrean Dark Ink's heart stirred. Instantly, the giant hammer shadow grew larger and was about to collide with the sword light. A shocking scene appeared. The giant hammer shadow with monstrous power actually shattered like a bubble and disappeared without a trace. Boom! 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 Then, the terrifying impact produced by the collision of the two secret techniques spread out. In almost an instant, it had spread hundreds of light years away. Empyrean Dark Ink also took a few steps back under the impact, shattering pieces of the void. He looked at Jiang Xi with confusion and shock. A level 7 secret technique defeated a level 9 secret technique. Impossible! Empyrean Dark Ink roared in shock and anger. Even if you have the many mysteries of the 8 Cloud inheritance, you still have to die today. Whoosh! Each of his 8 arms held a strange dark golden hammer. It was his level 7 offensive supreme treasure that could be divided into 8 parts and was very suitable for his body. Take this! Empyrean Dark Ink roared. Buzz! 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 The level 7 supreme treasure spun continuously, and streaks of golden lightning shot out from each of the hammers. Then, according to the level 9 secret technique he created, it condensed into an incomparably huge hammer that was no longer a shadow. This was the combination of a secret technique and a supreme treasure. If the supreme treasure was strong enough, it could greatly enhance the attack power of the secret technique. 8 lives. Jiang Xi's body skyrocketed 1,000,000 times, becoming a towering giant. One of the 2 ultimate techniques of the 8 Cloud inheritance, 8 lives, was an ultimate technique that specialized in the body. The attack methods hidden in it could increase his body's strength in a short period of time. Destruction and rebirth. Then the giant Jiang Xi swung his sword again. The level 8 supreme treasure, Killer Shadow Sword, wrapped in a layer of black and white sword light, also suddenly became 1,000,000 times larger and directly met the dark golden hammer. This was a true head-on collision. Without the restrictions of the primal universe's laws of heaven and earth, his sword directly erupted with the strongest power. A level 8 supreme treasure and a level 7 secret technique against a level 7 supreme treasure and a level 9 secret technique. The huge Killer Shadow Sword slashed through the void and directly hit the dark golden hammer. Clang! A terrifying power erupted. Even though the Chaos Sea space was extremely stable, terrifying cracks still exploded at this moment. In just an instant, the dark golden hammer directly flew out and smashed into Heavenly Venerate Dark Ink. Impossible! Heavenly Venerate Dark Ink roared, his face filled with disbelief. Whoosh! But in the next moment, the giant that had become taller than him held the stone-gray sword and slashed out again at lightning speed. This sword directly smashed into Heavenly Venerate Dark Ink, who was still flying backward. Crack! The level 7 supreme treasure armor on Heavenly Venerate Dark Ink's body directly cracked into fine lines. His body's aura also weakened slightly, but immediately after, the armor and his body recovered to their original state. A level 8 supreme treasure? A third step Heavenly Venerate. Heavenly Venerate Dark Ink looked at Jiang Xi in shock. Heavenly Venerate Dark Ink. Jiang Xi, who was like a towering giant, continuously swung the level 8 supreme treasure, Killer Shadow Sword, and used the Mountain Sea Sword Sutra's destruction and rebirth sword technique. It looked like a demon god had descended into the world. He was fighting with the equally tall 8-armed Heavenly Venerate Dark Ink and was not at a disadvantage at all. Instead, he had a slight advantage and forced Heavenly Venerate Dark Ink to retreat step by step. How can he be so strong? He's a Dao Lord. Don't Dao Lords only have the combat strength of a half-step Heavenly Venerate at most? He must have obtained that level 8 supreme treasure from 8 Cloud's inheritance. But even if he has a level 8 supreme treasure, he shouldn't have the combat strength of a third-step Heavenly Venerate, right? Heavenly Venerate Dark Ink kept retreating and found it even more difficult to understand. Moreover, he discovered that his attacks could not hurt Jiangxi at all. Whether it was Jiangxi's body or essence spirit, there was no sign of weakening at all. It was like Jiangxi's body and essence spirit were also wearing extremely high-grade armor and soul armor. This made Heavenly Venerate Dark Ink jealous and angry, but he still remained calm. Judging from the current situation, he indeed could not do anything to Jiangxi, but it was not to the extent of being completely defeated. It seems that I can only delay him now and inform the other Heavenly Venerates of the sacred ground, but at this moment, collect. Riverward, who was like a giant that could hold up the heavens, suddenly shouted. A 9-story pagoda spiraled out from his body, and then rapidly expanded, becoming a colossus that was 9 light years tall. The Supreme Treasure, Heaven-Piercing Tower, revealed the power of a level 9 Supreme Treasure for the first time. The huge 9-story tower directly pressed down on Heavenly Venerate Dark Ink. Heavenly Venerate Dark Ink, who was originally considered huge, was now smaller than an ant in front of the 9 light-year-tall heaven-piercing tower. Therefore, he had no room to dodge at all, let alone escape. Buzz! It was as if a world was slowly crushing down. The void trembled slightly. It was extremely slow but also extremely fast. The entire heaven-piercing tower almost instantly fell on top of Heavenly Venerate Dark Ink's head. This! Heavenly Venerate Dark Ink was stunned. He just wanted to continue fighting and inform the other Heavenly Venerates of the sacred ground. Then, he could not move. He was directly locked by the terrifying aura of Heaven-Piercing Tower. So heavy, so heavy! Heavenly Venerate Dark Ink only felt endless pressure coming from the huge Heaven-Piercing Tower. This was not pure gravity but also a kind of suppression. The moment Heaven-Piercing Tower pressed down on him, the two seemed to have become one. That endless pressure also became his own pressure. This made him feel as if he was carrying a huge miniature universe. It was so heavy that he could not move an inch. Impossible! Impossible! Heavenly Venerate Dark Ink roared with all his might as thunder and lightning energy erupted all over his body. He tried his best to resist the suppression of Heaven-Piercing Tower and flew slowly with great difficulty. That speed was probably not even 10,000 kilometers per second. No. Heavenly Venerate Dark Ink tried his best to resist, however. Accelerating to 10,000 kilometers per second was already his limit. The faster he went, the stronger the suppression of Heaven-Piercing Tower was. Seeing this scene, Jiangxi just chuckled. This was the first time he used Heaven-Piercing Tower with all his strength to display the power of this godly monarch's supreme treasure. Yes, the supreme treasure of Chaos Origin Godly Monarch. When he received the inheritance of 8 Clouds, 8 Clouds' godly general had once revealed that Heaven-Piercing Tower once belonged to a divine monarch of the primordial realm. That peerless divine monarch was one of the few beings who could stand close to the emperors of the primordial realm. Therefore, Heaven-Piercing Tower was naturally powerful. In the past, he was not strong enough to unleash the power of this supreme treasure. Now that he had reached the limit of a Tao Lord, his actual combat power was comparable to a 3rd-step Celestial Venerate. Naturally, he could unleash some of its power. Of course, this was far from the true power of Heaven-Piercing Tower. It's more than enough to suppress this 3rd-step Celestial Venerate without a miniature universe, Jiangxi thought. Withdraw! He shouted coldly again. The base of Heaven-Piercing Tower opened, and a terrifying suction force erupted. No. Heavenly Venerate Dark Ink could not escape from Heaven-Piercing Tower. I'm a 3rd-step Celestial Venerate, a Celestial Venerate of the Eternal Universe. I'm not afraid of calamities. How can I be defeated by a Tao Lord? My life and death are in someone else's hands. Impossible. This can't be. I can't accept this. I can't accept this. Heavenly Venerate Dark Ink was going crazy. It had only been tens of thousands of years. Last time he had almost killed Jiangxi with one slap. Now he was about to be suppressed. The next moment, with a final roar, I can't accept this. The roar disappeared, and the void where the dual whirlpool domain was located returned to silence. The other 11 Tao Lords were hiding in their respective flying true treasures, watching the battle from afar. They had seen the entire process of the battle, and saw the unbelievable outcome of the battle. Heavenly Venerate Dark Ink, Lost? He couldn't fight back at all. Is Heaven-Piercing Tower really a 7th-tier true treasure? Something big happened. A Dao Lord suppressed a third-step celestial venerate. The 11 alien Dao Lords were deeply shocked. After they snapped back to their senses, they hurriedly spread the news of the results of the battle through various channels. All the major powers in Chaos Sea were indeed paying attention to this battle. This was because this was the first time the Eight Clouds heirs were fighting a celestial venerate. Soon, they all received the news and learned the result of the battle. For a moment, the entire Chaos Sea fell into silence and confusion. Originally, they guessed that Zhang Xiai would definitely not be a match for Heavenly Venerate Dark Ink, but he would be able to survive in the end. But now the result was reversed. Moreover, although Heavenly Venerate Dark Ink was not dead, his life and death were now in Zhang Xi's hands. It was no different from death. The major factions of Chaos Sea immediately raised their vigilance against Zhang Xiai. However, the Great Sky Sacred Land is in trouble now. The Great Sky Sacred Land is controlling the forces of the Fourth Universe behind the scenes to fight against the human race and suppress their development. Now the human Dao Lord of the mountains and seas of the Fourth Universe was able to capture Celestial Black Ink and 54 other Dao Lords despite being just a Dao Lord. If Dao Lord Mountain Sea becomes a true Heavenly Venerate in the future, he will probably be even more terrifying than Heavenly Venerate Purple Firmament. If this continues, the Great Sky Sacred Land will suffer a huge loss. I really don't understand. As an eternal existence, why does the Great Sky Sacred Land have to deal with the humans of the Fourth Universe? It's the same for the Red Lotus Sacred Land. They directly destroyed the humans of the Second and Third Universes. No matter what, these two sacred lands are in trouble after becoming enemies with the human race. You think too highly of the human race. After all, they are not eternal. When the calamity is over, the human race will disappear in the crisis of the calamity. Even if the sacred lands are temporarily at a disadvantage, they are still eternal existences. In the next calamity, they will still be the strongest faction in Chaos Sea. The attitudes of the major factions toward Dao Lord Mountain Sea were very complicated. Some were optimistic, while others were belittling him, but not a single faction was able to guess why Riverward had captured so many powerhouses of the Great Sky Holy Land. Chapter 649. The major forces of Chaos Sea had guessed one thing correctly. The Juntian Holy Land was in trouble. Because they had been paying attention to Zhang Xi's every move, they soon discovered that Zhang Xiai had gone directly outside the Juntian Holy Land universe after leaving the abyss of Pitch Void. What was he going to do? For a time the Chaos Sea was filled with exclamations. The Celestial Venerables and Dao Lords of the major forces were puzzled. Could it be that this Eight Clouds inheritor was really going to provoke the entire Holy Land universe? It was fine if he was in the abyss of Pitch Void. After all, there was still some distance from the Juntian Holy Land. If something really happened, there was still a chance to escape. Outside the Juntian Holy Land, with the foundation of this Holy Land universe, they could quickly organize nearly 1,000 Dao Lords. The remaining 6 Celestial Venerables could also quickly rush over. Even if Zhang Xiai had the combat strength of a third-step Celestial Venerable, he couldn't defeat so many powerhouses alone, right? Otherwise, there would have been other third-step Celestial Venerables challenging the two Holy Land universes over the years. The incomparably huge Juntian Holy Land universe floated in the endless chaotic gray fog. At this time, a 9-story tower 9 light-years tall stood outside the Holy Land universe, only 1 light-year away. 1 light-year seemed very far, but to Celestial Venerables and Dao Lords, it was no different from 1 meter. They could cross it in an instant. In the treasure space of Heaven Connecting Tower, the desperate Celestial Venerable Qing Yan saw Zhang Xi's crazy actions and sneered crazily. You're courting death. Even if you have the strength of a third-step Celestial Venerable, you can't withstand a single blow from the Juntian Holy Land. I advise you to let us go obediently. Otherwise, the human race of the Fourth Universe will be implicated by you and be annihilated. Celestial Venerable Qing Yan still wanted to live. Want to live? Sure. Zhang Xiai smiled. Celestial Venerable Qing Yan's eyes flashed. I know you have a way to contact the other powerhouses in the Holy Land. Now pass on a message for me. I need 3 8th-tier true treasures, 10 7th-tier true treasures, 106 tier true treasures, 1,000 fifth-tier true treasures, 10,000 fourth-tier true treasures, and 300,000 first-tier to third-tier true treasures. With this as a deal, I can consider letting you go, Zhang Xi said with a calm smile. Celestial Venerable Dark Ink's eyes widened in shock. Was Zhang Xi crazy? With so many supreme treasures, the great heaven holy land would likely be emptied out. 8th-tier treasure? He knew that 1,000 years ago, Great Sky Supreme had once bestowed 7 8th-tier supreme treasures. But those were the cornerstone treasures of the Great Sky Holy Land and could not be taken out. Apart from 8th-tier supreme treasures, the value of other supreme treasures was also unimaginable. For example, 300,000 Stage 1 to Stage 3 low-tier true treasures. Even the entire Chaos Sea did not have that many. Impossible, this is kidnapping and extortion. He shouted angrily. Yes, I did kidnap and blackmail. Zhang Xi's smile remained unchanged. That's impossible. Just kill us. Alright. Wait. Can you reduce the number a little? Like those 300,000 Stage 1 to Stage 3 low-tier supreme treasures, we can't take it out at all. Even in the entire Chaos Sea, it's impossible to have so many low-tier supreme treasures. Celestial Venerable Dark Ink said with great difficulty. He lowered his head, feeling even more ashamed and furious in his heart. Haha, to be able to see the famous Celestial Venerable Dark Ink lower his head, there's no harm in reducing it a little. Zhang Xi laughed loudly. How about this? 300,000 Stage 1 to Stage 3 supreme treasures can be reduced to 30,000. However, these 30,000 must be low-tier supreme treasures with special functions, such as suppression, bewitchment, armor transformation, armor cracking, and so on. Unknowingly, Riverward had added his own goal into the conversation. Low-tier supreme treasures were ordinary to begin with. Those that could have additional functions were all rare items. Therefore, if the Great Sky Holy Land wanted to take out 30,000 such low-tier supreme treasures, they could definitely find the 2 mountain peaks and deliver them to him. Of course, the prerequisite was that the Great Sky Holy Land was willing to trade with him. As for killing Celestial Venerable Dark Ink and these Universe Realm Tao Lords, Zhang Xi felt that it was better to retrieve the damaged parts of the supreme treasures for now. In terms of value, his supreme treasure, the 7th mountain, was naturally more valuable. This supreme treasure was also a supreme treasure that surpassed the limits. However, due to the restrictions of the Chaos Sea's heaven and earth laws, a large portion of its power could not be unleashed. If he could find the last 2 mountains, the 7th mountain would evolve into the 9th mountain. Although the power that the supreme treasure could unleash could not break through the limits, the quality of the supreme treasure itself would definitely return to its original peak state. When he reached the upper realm in the future, this supreme treasure would be his greatest trump card. Therefore, his primary goal was to find the 2 mountains. As for these powerhouses of the Great Sky Holy Land, he could kill them at any time in the future. In any case, they would not run out of the Chaos Sea. On the other side, in a magnificent temple in the Great Hammer Divine World of the Great Sky Holy Land, Celestial Venerable Dark Ink had already begun discussing the deal with the other Celestial Venerable powerhouses of the Great Sky Holy Land. Through the incarnation he left in the Holy Land, the 7 Celestial Venerables sat in front of a huge round table. These are the conditions he proposed. How should we decide? Celestial Venerable Dark Ink spoke of Zhang Xi's conditions in a low voice, his expression extremely ugly. He is robbing us. 3 Tier 8 Supreme Treasures and so many Tier 6, Tier 5, and Tier 4 Supreme Treasures. 30,000 Tier 1 to Tier 3 Supreme Treasures. Has he gone mad from poverty? It should be that the human race has gone mad from poverty, with Celestial Venerable Wan Luo leading. The other 6 Great Sky Holy Land Empyrean powerhouses were incomparably furious. In the end, everyone's gazes fell on Celestial Venerable Wan Luo. Great Sky Supreme rarely appeared. Therefore, the affairs of the Holy Land were usually handled by the strongest Celestial Venerable Wan Luo. Celestial Venerable Wan Luo frowned and finally said, "My Great Sky Holy Land has already stood tall in the Chaos Sea for thousands of epochs. In these long years, the supreme treasures we have collected can be said to be massive. Besides those 3 Tier 8 supreme treasures, taking out the rest is not a big deal to us. However, if Qingyan dies, it will be a great loss for us." Hearing Celestial Venerable Wan Luo's words, Except for Celestial Venerable Qing Yan's incarnation, the other 5 Celestial Venerables nodded solemnly because the Holy Land universe was not enough to support the birth of new Celestial Venerables. The current 7 Celestial Venerables of the Great Sky Holy Land had all existed before the creation of the Holy Land universe. If any of them died, it would be a loss. And Celestial Venerable Qing Yan was ranked in the top 3 among them. He could be said to be second only to Celestial Venerable Wan Luo. If he really died, the loss would be great. As for the 54 Universe Tao Lords, these Celestial Venerables did not care much about them. This was because the Great Sky Holy Land had too many Quasi-Dao Lords, and the Great Sky Holy Land universe could only support a limited number of Tao Lords. Only when the other Tao Lords died would the Quasi-Dao Lords have a chance to break through to become Tao Lords. Therefore, they were not worried that the death of these Tao Lords would cause great losses to the Holy Land. Just like last time, in order to compete for the 8 Clouds inheritance, they had lost nearly 100 Universe Tao Lords. However, after more than 1,000 years, the gap of nearly 100 Universe Tao Lords had been filled. So we will trade with him? That's the only way. What else can we do? Celestial Venerable Qing Yan is in his hands now, and Heavenspan Tower is in existence that we can't shake. Although the Celestial Venerables were furious, they could only agree to this deal helplessly. They all knew that the 8 Clouds inheritor Zhang Xi had hidden his strength too deeply. Without a sound, his actual combat strength had reached the 3rd step Celestial Venerable level. He even suddenly took out 2 powerful treasures that were at least rank 8, a stone sword and a Heavenspan Tower. They could confirm that the stone sword definitely came from the 8 Clouds inheritance. As for the Heavenspan Tower, it was a treasure that Zhang Xi had possessed since a long time ago. This was because Zhang Xi had once used this treasure to block the attacks of other Tao Lords when fighting for the 8 Clouds inheritance. Now that they thought about it, this Zhang Xi was really in existence with deep fortuitous opportunities. To be able to possess a rank 8 treasure before obtaining the 8 Clouds inheritance. Try not to provoke him in the future. After this calamity is over, even if he can cultivate eternity, he will eventually go to the upper realm and will never be able to return to the Chaos Sea. At that time, he won't be able to threaten our Great Sky Holy Land at all. Celestial Venerable Wan Luo, added the other Celestial Venerables nodded. Now, none of them doubted whether Zhang Xi could cultivate eternity. Obviously, he definitely could. Zhang Xi was only at the Tao Lord realm, but he already had the combat strength of a 3rd step Celestial Venerable. When he really became a Celestial Venerable in the future, how strong would he be? It would probably be easy to cultivate eternity. Fortunately, they were Celestial Venerables of the Holy Land universe and knew some secrets. For example, after cultivating eternity, one would eventually have to go to the upper realm because the Chaos Sea did not allow powerhouses above the Eternal Realm to stay. This was also the reason why the 2 Eternal Supremes had never appeared in the Chaos Sea. The use of a rank 8 treasure needs to be applied to the Supremes. I will handle this. Our Holy Land's treasure vault has a stock of rank 4 to rank 7 treasures. It's very simple to take them out. Only rank 1 to rank 3 low-grade treasures are a problem. We definitely won't be able to take out 300,000 of them. We can only search for those low-grade treasures with special functions in the Holy Land. Now let's start searching. Celestial Venerable Wan Luo looked at the other Supremes in front of the round table and quickly made arrangements. The rich and overbearing Great Sky Holy Land did not really take so many treasures to heart. In any case, they were eternal existences. If they took out the treasures now, they could still search for more treasures after countless epochs. In their eyes, protecting the life of Celestial Venerable Qing Yan was more important. Apart from Celestial Venerable Qing Yan, the other 6 Celestial Venerables of Great Sky Holy Land began to act separately. Among them, 5 Celestial Venerables were responsible for dispatching the various Tao Lords in the Holy Land. Then, through these Tao Lords, they mobilized the perfected Lord-level clansmen to search for various treasures with special functions. With their efficiency, the search was naturally not slow. In a short day, they collected 30,000 rank 1 to rank 3 low-grade treasures. As for Celestial Venerable Wan Luo, he went to the giant hammer in the center of the Great Hammer Divine World to report this matter to Great Sky Supremacy. Great Sky Supremacy's true body was not in the Holy Land. Although Great Sky Supremacy knew everything that happened in the Holy Land, It was impossible for him to pay attention to every detail therefore. Sometimes Celestial Venerable Wan Luo and other experts had to use the giant hammer treasure left behind by Great Sky Supremacy to inform them of the happenings in the Holy Land. Soon, when almost all the low-grade treasures were collected, Great Sky Supremacy's side also responded. I reject the deal. The 7 Celestial Venerables led by Celestial Venerable Wan Luo were stunned. After working for so long, the Supremacy rejected the deal. Not long after, the 7 Celestial Venerables gathered in the temple again. However, this time, there was an additional figure shrouded in gray fog on the main seat. It was Great Sky Supremacy. Supremacy, why is this? Celestial Venerable Wan Luo mustered up his courage and asked. Yes, Supremacy. Qing Yan's strength is second only to Wan Luo. If he falls, our Holy Land will lose a pillar of support. Supremacy, please reconsider. The other Celestial Venerables also chimed in. Only Celestial Venerable Qing Yan lowered his head and did not say a word. His expression was extremely complicated. His eternity was given by Great Sky Supremacy. If Great Sky Supremacy wanted him to die, he could not resist and could only die. Humph! Great Sky Supremacy snorted coldly after hearing the few Celestial Venerables' words. Stupid! Haven't you thought about why Jiang Xi proposed such a deal? What benefits does this deal bring to him? If the deal is completed, although Qing Yan's life will be preserved, Jiang Xi will definitely gain greater benefits. Otherwise, he would never propose such a deal. You should know that treasures below the 9th stage are like chicken ribs to the eternal powerhouses of the upper realm. It was rare for Great Sky Supremacy to speak so much. He also revealed a lot of information that shocked Celestial Venerable Wan Luo and the rest. Even Chaos Sea did not have a rank 9 treasure. How could it be so useless in the upper world? Great Sky Supremacy's face was dark. It was just that under the situation where his entire body was shrouded in fog, those Celestial Venerables could not see his current expression at all. He guessed that 1,000 Transformations Divine General must hate the human race very much. Otherwise, he would not have ordered him and Red Lotus to destroy the human race in the 4 great primal universes when he had just descended. If 1,000 Transformations Divine General knew that his Great Sky Holy Land had a deal with the human race's current prodigy, and yielded to the threat of the human race's prodigy, it might incur 1,000 Transformations Divine General's dissatisfaction at that time. The one who would suffer losses would be him, Great Sky Supremacy. As for Celestial Venerable Qing Yan's life and death, to be honest, Great Sky Supremacy did not care at all. He was high above a true eternal existence. Furthermore, he did not have 1,000 Transformations Divine General's background and strength. He could not return to Chaos Sea at all. This Great Sky Holy Land was very important to him. But those lives inside, whether it was Celestial Venerables or ordinary life forms, were not as important as imagined. Even if the 7 great Celestial Venerables all died, it would not affect him at all. Now the only thing that puzzled him was why did Jiang Xi propose such a deal? Great Sky Supremacy carefully recalled what had happened inside and outside the Holy Land recently. What surprised him was that he discovered that not long ago, Jiang Xi had actually appeared near Great Sky Holy Land. This Holy Land universe was opened by him. Of course, he could investigate the situation around the Holy Land universe. However, at that time his attention was not on Chaos Sea. Hence, although the Holy Land universe had recorded the scene back then, he himself did not know. Now that he investigated, he immediately found out about this situation. Very quickly, Great Sky Supremacy found the crux of the problem. Something is wrong. The black armor on his body is vibrating. This is a characteristic that would only appear when there is a reaction between true treasures. In that case, after discovering this point, Great Sky Supremacy looked at Celestial Venerables Wan Luo, Celestial Venerables Qing Yan, and the other great beings who were in low spirits and said in a low voice, "Send those 30,000 low-grade true treasures over." Chapter 650. 30,000 low-grade treasures with special functions floated in the temple. Jun Tian Supreme checked the functions of these low-grade treasures one by one. His eyes were like torches as he quickly selected 14 of the most valuable treasures with the most unique functions. For Jiang Xi to spend so much effort to obtain them, they were definitely not ordinary treasures. Tell me the functions and information of these treasures, Jun Tian Supreme said in a deep voice. Wan Luo was already prepared as he introduced them one by one. Supreme, this is a third-grade treasure, Netherworld Soul Armor. It has the special function of impacting one's essence soul. It was obtained by a Tao Lord of the Sacred Land 130 eras ago. This is a second-grade treasure, Open Straw Flying Boat. It has the special function of breaking space shackles. This is a second-grade treasure, Gray Mist. It has the special function of armor transformation and space-time domain. This is a first-grade treasure, Sparkling Rain Blade. It has the special function of armor penetration. Heavenly Lord Wan Luo quickly introduced the functions and origins of the 14 low-tier cardinal treasures. That gray fog, demonstrate it to me once. Jun Tian Supreme's gaze landed on the supreme treasure that was formed by 2 mountain peaks. Yes. Wan Luo immediately refined the gray mist. Refining a second-grade treasure was naturally not difficult for a third-step heavenly venerable like him. He refined it almost instantly. Armor transformation. Then with a thought, the 2 mountain-shaped gray mist instantly transformed into a set of gray battle armor that covered his body. Space-time domain. He tested the second function. An invisible space-time fluctuation instantly filled the temple. With Jun Tian Supreme, Heavenly Venerable Qing Yan, and the other 5 Heavenly Venerables' vision and knowledge, they immediately recognized the uniqueness of this treasure. The effects and power of these 2 functions were, of course, child's play to them. They were of little value. However, considering that this was a second-grade treasure, it was different. The defensive power of a second-grade treasure armor was close to that of a third-grade treasure. And the accompanying space-time domain was also close to that of a Tao Lord. This was a very abnormal situation. One had to know that only Tao Lords could use space-time domain. Supreme, it's strange. This treasure originally belonged to a 5th-grade true lord in the Sacred Land, however. Not long ago, this supreme treasure had started to tremble, as if it was reacting to the other supreme treasures. However, that rank 5 true monarch had stayed in the Holy Land for many epochs, and such a situation had never occurred. Thus, he speculated that the source of the connection should be outside the sacred grounds. That's why he asked a Tao Lord to help him search for it in the Chaos Sea. Empyrean Myriad Net then revealed some other information regarding this supreme treasure. After hearing these, Jun Tian Supreme immediately concluded that this was the low-grade supreme treasure that Jiang Xi racked his brains to obtain. For the sake of this supreme treasure, this 8 Clouds inheritor even specially went to capture Empyrean Dark Ink and others to trade with the Great Sky Holy Land. Furthermore, he had asked for a large number of supreme treasures of various grades in one go to conceal his true goal. The defense treasure on his body is definitely not at the 7th or 8th level. Jun Tian Supreme creased his eyebrows. He knew very well that with the foundation and knowledge of the 8 Clouds inheritors, there was no need to spend so much effort in scheming for a supreme treasure of this grade. Could it be? Jun Tian Supreme thought of something, and a ray of divine light appeared in his eyes. Boom! A thunderous sound appeared in the entire Great Sky Holy Land, shocking everyone. The few heavenly venerables in the temple also looked at Jun Tian Supreme in shock. Too powerful. Just a glance was enough to shake the entire Holy Land universe. Xianhuang Mountain, it must be Xianhuang Mountain. Through Jiangxi's recent movements in the past few thousand years, as well as the time when Xianhuang Mountain disappeared, and the current transaction, Jun Tian Supreme deduced this possibility. Even if there was only a 1% possibility, it was the same as a 100% chance to Jun Tian Supreme. This was an almost certain answer. Since the gray mist of the 2 mountains could transform into armor, Xianhuang Mountain might be able to too. Only a legendary supreme treasure like Xianhuang Mountain could make Jiang Xi act like this. Although he didn't know how Jiang Xi refined Xianhuang Mountain, he could confirm that this legendary supreme treasure was incomplete, and the gray mist was an incomplete part of Xianhuang Mountain. Thinking of this, a strong sense of greed emerged in Jun Tian Supreme's heart. That was a treasure that he had once wanted to obtain. Even now, he still felt that Xianhuang Mountain's preciousness was far beyond his imagination. However, Jun Tian Supreme was also very clear that with the current situation, it was already impossible for him to obtain this supreme treasure. Qing Yan. Jun Tian Supreme looked at Heavenly Venerate Qing Yan's avatar. Supreme. Heavenly Venerate Qing Yan bowed. Whether you can live or not depends on yourself. Use this gray mist to make a deal with Mountain Sea Tao Lord. As long as he is willing to take out 10 core inheritance stones of the 8 clouds inheritance, my great sky holy land will give this treasure to him, Jun Tian Supreme said. This was a private deal without Thousand Illusions Immortal General's knowledge, so it wouldn't affect the 3 missions. If the deal was successful, he would naturally make a huge profit. 10 core inheritance stones of the 8 clouds inheritance were enough for him to cultivate to a Chaos Origin Immortal General. If the deal failed, he wouldn't lose out either. Yes. Heavenly Venerate Qing Yan felt helpless and hopeless. What the Supreme meant was for him to fight for a chance to live. Obviously, he would only have a chance to live if Zhang Xiai agreed to this condition. The heaven-piercing tower that was 9 light-years tall still stood outside the Great Sky Holy Land motionlessly. Zhang Xiai waited quietly in the supreme treasure space. In a distant corner were Heavenly Venerate Qing Yan and 54 Universe Tao Lords. Now both sides hoped that this deal would succeed. Zhang Xiai wanted to obtain the final 2 mountains, while Heavenly Venerate Qing Yan and the others wanted to live. Tao Lord Mountain Sea. Heavenly Venerate Qing Yan opened his eyes. You've gathered all the supreme treasures? Zhang Xiai smiled. You don't have to hide it anymore. The Supreme of my great sky holy land has already seen through your true motive. What you want is this supreme treasure, right? Heavenly Venerate Qing Yan said in a deep voice. At the same time, he waved his hand and conjured an illusion of 2 mountains. Ridiculous. Zhang Xiai shook his head. Looks like you guys really don't want to live anymore. Stop pretending. The Supreme already knows that you appeared outside our holy land not long ago. At that time something happened to your armor. At that time, a rank 5 true lord in our holy land happened to discover that his supreme treasure was also trembling. Heavenly Venerate Qing Yan was very calm. Zhang Xiai stopped smiling and frowned slightly. Since he had already said so much, he naturally wouldn't continue pretending. As expected of an eternal supreme, his observation skills are really monstrous. He sighed in his heart. He could even discover this. Tell me, what do you want? Zhang Xiai asked Heavenly Venerate Qing Yan. The Supreme said that as long as you are willing to take out 10 core inheritance stones of the 8 clouds inheritance and let us go, our great sky holy land will give this supreme treasure to you, Heavenly Venerate Qing Yan said. That's just a low-grade supreme treasure. Your Supreme doesn't care about your lives at all? Zhang Xiai sneered. Our eternal Supreme was given to us by the Supreme. If he wants to take it away, we have nothing to say. Heavenly Venerate Qing Yan shook his head. Since there's nothing to talk about, then all of you can die. Zhang Xiai waved his hand. Heavenly Venerate Qing Yan's expression froze, while the other 54 Universe Tao Lords cried out in despair. No! Don't kill, spare us. Unfortunately, they couldn't change anything. In the supreme treasure space of Sky Tower, surging origin energy surged out and drowned Heavenly Venerate Qing Yan and the 54 Universe Tao Lords. Zhang Xiai was the owner of Sky Tower. Now that he was in the supreme treasure space, he could naturally kill these experts of the Great Sky Holy Land easily. You killed a 3rd step Heavenly Venerate, Eternal EXP plus 900. You killed a Universe Tao Lord, Eternal EXP plus 9. You killed a Universe Tao Lord, Eternal EXP plus 9. A series of system notifications sounded, bringing him 1,386 Eternal EXP. In the Temple of the Great Hammer Divine World in the Great Sky Holy Land. How was it? Did he agree? Great Sky Supreme asked. Heavenly Venerate Qing Yan's incarnation laughed bitterly. Pooh! Then the incarnation dissipated into thin air. This meant that Heavenly Venerate Qing Yan had died. In front of the round table, Heavenly Venerate Wan Luo and the other 6 Heavenly Venerates' expressions changed. This Zhang Xiai was too decisive. He didn't even talk and directly attacked. Supreme! Heavenly Venerate Wan Luo wanted to say something, but he didn't know what to say. Humph! You don't know what's good for you. Great Sky Supreme snorted coldly and then disappeared. The remaining Heavenly Venerate Wan Luo and the other experts looked at each other, and then felt a sense of sympathy. Wan Luo, what should we do now? Should we go out and deal with Tao Lord Mountain Sea together? And Heavenly Venerate asked. Deal with him? How? Even I don't have the strength to suppress Qing Yan, let alone kill him. That Tao Lord Mountain Sea did it easily. Although he did it with the power of a supreme treasure, this is already equivalent to an invincible heavenly venerate. Even if the 6 of us join forces, we can't do anything to him. Heavenly venerate Wan Luo had a belly full of anger, but there was nowhere to vent it. Then let him leave? What else can we do? Who can stop him? After this battle, I'm afraid our great sky holy land will become the laughingstock of the various major forces in the Chaos Sea in the future. Laughingstock? It's still early. Heavenly venerate Wan Luo regained his composure and shook his head with a bitter smile. In the supreme treasure space of the sky-reaching tower, Jiang Xi shook his head. Not to mention that he couldn't give the core inheritance stone to others. Even if he couldn't use the core inheritance stone to exchange for the final 2 mountains. Therefore, there was no room for negotiation. He could only stop his losses. Otherwise, Heavenly Venerate Qing Yan and the other Universe Realm Tao Lords would self-destruct in despair. That would be a huge loss. These eternal experience points would at least make this trip worthwhile. In addition, there was a pile of supreme treasures in front of him. These were the full set of Grade 7 supreme treasures on Heavenly Venerate Qing Yan, 5 Grade 7 supreme treasures on 54 Universe Realm Tao Lords, and 86 Grade 6 supreme treasures. Adding it all up, it could be considered a considerable gain. Although the value of these supreme treasures was far inferior to the final 2 mountains. As expected, it's impossible for everything to go as I wish, and it's impossible for every plan to succeed. Jiang Xi sighed softly. However, with his current state of mind, he naturally wouldn't be affected too much. He just felt that it was a pity in that case. I'll put this matter aside for the time being and see if there's a chance in the future. Now it's time to go to the Myriad World Ruins and retrieve the inheritance and treasures left behind by the Qingyuan clan. I've said that I'll go several times, but I haven't been able to. Jiang Xi quickly changed his target and left in the heaven-reaching tower. His departure naturally made the experts of the Juntian Sacred Ground heave a sigh of relief. With Jiang Xi's current strength, if he really stayed outside the Juntian Sacred Ground, it would be a headache for them. The Juntian Sacred Ground wasn't too far away from the Myriad World Ruins. Jiang Xi drove the heaven-reaching tower and shuttled through the endless chaotic gray fog at an extremely fast speed. He arrived in just half a year and rushed directly into the Myriad World Ruins. He only slowed down when he arrived here. The space-time inside the Myriad World Ruins was completely still, and there were those strange green winds and white flames. Therefore, any expert who wandered here didn't dare to be careless and had to pass through those safe paths. Otherwise, it would be easy to be contaminated by the wind and fire. In that case, even a heavenly venerate would die instantly. Jiang Xi had the map of the Qingyuan clan that Qing Shuang had left behind. It recorded a large number of safe paths in the Myriad World Ruins, so his speed was naturally much faster. Moreover, he had been carefully concealing his tracks because he wanted to see if he could encounter the experts of the Juntian Sacred Ground. In that case, he would naturally kill them mercilessly once he found one. However, after spending more than 100 years and finally reaching a depth of more than 60,000 light-years in the Myriad World Ruins, he still hadn't found a single expert of the Juntian Sacred Ground. The Juntian Sacred Ground is too cautious and vigilant. It's such a long journey and I actually didn't find a single one. It seems that all the Tao Lords in the Myriad World Ruins are carefully hiding. Jiang Xi shook his head. The Myriad World Ruins was in the form of a huge abyss. So far, everyone could only detect a depth of 90,000 light-years at most. However, if the diameter of 300 million light-years was included, this abyss would be an extremely vast spatial region. He was focused on going to the treasure space of the Qingyuan clan, and didn't deliberately search for the experts of the Juntian Sacred Ground. If the other party swaggered around, he might be able to discover them. However, if the other party carefully concealed themselves, it would be impossible to discover them. Inside the Myriad World Ruins, huge stone celestial bodies floated quietly. Soon Jiang Xi's gaze locked onto a huge stone celestial body, with a diameter of more than 10 light-years. The Myriad World Ruins inside this huge stone celestial body was the treasure space of the Qingyuan clan. Then, he put away the heaven-reaching building and stepped into the void. landing on this huge stone celestial body. Open. Jiang Xi held the black talisman that Qing Shuang had left behind. This was the token of the myriad world ruins and the key to opening this treasure space. The black talisman shot out rays of light and turned into a special symbol that was branded in the void above the huge stone celestial body. Buzz, time and space trembled slightly, and a glowing door slowly condensed and appeared in front of Jiang Xi. When the celestial emperor of the primordial realm led the army on the final path and left the Qingyuan clan and the Heavenly Feather clan behind, the Heavenly Feather divine general betrayed them. However, the Qingyuan clan swore to die and the ancestors of this clan fought against the astral realm. Unfortunately, they lost miserably in the end and the clan's strength plummeted. In the end, they disappeared in the vast river of time. Jiang Xi lamented and was full of respect for the Qingyuan clan. I wonder what kind of inheritance and treasures this once glorious clan left behind will be like? Jiang Xi passed through the door and entered the myriad world ruins before him. Chapter 651. This was a purgatory-like space. Jiang Xi's figure appeared out of thin air. At a glance, there were 9 huge black fireballs in the void. Each fireball was thousands of times bigger than an ordinary star. The 9 black fireballs hung high in the void and circled according to a pattern. In the middle of the circle was a floating land. Jiang Xi stood in the void. With a thought, his spiritual consciousness covered the entire space and saw everything. He was a little surprised by what he saw. He took a step forward and came to the center of the floating land. Then he looked up at the sky. The light produced by the 9 black fireballs in the sky intertwined in the sky above the land and formed a picture scroll. The entire scroll was covered with densely packed words made of fire snakes. It's similar to the primordial realm's words. Although it has been simplified, the meaning hasn't changed much. Jiang Xi easily read and understood the words. I am Qing Shuang. I am the last ancestor of the Qingyuan clan. My Qingyuan clan was once a super clan that stood in the river of time. Although it has fallen, I can't let the traces of the Qingyuan clan completely disappear in the river of time. Successor, the 9 black fireballs in the void are from the primordial realm. They were left behind by my clan's ancestors. There are 9 inheritance stones inside, which contain all the inheritance of my Qingyuan clan. If you have the chance to cultivate to eternity and break free from the primordial realm's chaos sea, you can see all the inheritance contents. With this, you can cultivate to the Chaos Essence Divine General Realm. It's just hateful that the person from the Astral Realm cut off the path to eternity in the Primordial Realm's Chaos Sea. It's difficult for future generations to achieve eternity. Even when I reach the peak of rank 9, I can only try to reach eternity by breaking through the Chaos Boundary Wall. But, the last treasures of my Qingyuan clan, they are hidden under this land. Successor, I hope you can treat everything left behind by my clan well. The information recorded in the fire snake words on the picture scroll in the sky surprised Jiang Xi. This was the complete inheritance of the Qingyuan clan. The highest level one could cultivate to was the Chaos Essence Divine General Realm. Compared to the 8 Clouds inheritance, which allowed one to cultivate to the Primordial Divine King Realm, it was only 1 realm away. How did the Qingyuan clan perish with such an inheritance? Jiang Xi was puzzled. On second thought, he understood. Back then, the ancestors of the Qingyuan clan had died in the war with the Star Realm, and the 7 eternal universes had all been destroyed. Although the inheritance had been preserved, due to the absence of an eternal paragon, they could not see the inheritance of a heavenly venerable and above under the restrictions of the Chaos Sea's heaven-earth laws. By Qing Shuang's generation, her clan had declined to the extreme. However, Qing Shuang didn't manage to achieve eternal. In the end, her entire clan fell during the crisis of the Cataclysm era. Because the 8 Clouds legacy was left behind by the 8 Clouds divine generals before they embarked on the final path, there is a complete selection test inside. However, due to the decline of the Cyan origin clan back then, they couldn't set up many tests for their legacies. Therefore, they could only stay in this void world and wait for later generations to discover them. Having said that, Jiang Xi did not think that the inheritance was easy to obtain. He was able to come here because he had entered the surveillance space left behind by the Qingyuan clan under the protection of the sky-reaching tower. Even a third-step heavenly venerable could not force his way into the space vortex channel there. The highest combat power in the Chaos Sea was only a third-step heavenly venerable, and the token to open this void world was hidden in the monitoring space, which was even more dangerous. Therefore, except for those with heaven-defying opportunities, only people from the upper world could forcibly take away the inheritance of the Qingyuan clan. From the words in the scroll, I can feel Qing Shuang's helplessness and unwillingness before the crisis of the cataclysm. Such a powerful clan, even with the inheritance of the Hunyuan divine general, couldn't achieve eternal paragon. Zhang Xiai shook his head gently. He also felt the pressure. It did not mean that with the inheritance, one would definitely become an eternal paragon. Rise. He looked at his feet again. Rumble. The earth separated, and a palace emerged from the ground. The treasure of the Qingyuan clan was hidden here. Zhang Xi's spiritual sense wrapped around it and easily refined this treasure. Then with a thought, he saw a large number of treasures stored inside. Even with the strength of his primordial spirit, it still took him some time to sort out the types and numbers of all the treasures. In the end, even though Zhang Xiai was mentally prepared, he was still very surprised by the results. There were 91 7th-stage treasures, 865 6th-stage treasures, 3,987 5th-stage treasures, and 17,563 4th-stage treasures. As for the remaining level 1 to level 3 low-grade true treasures, they could be said to be a sea of them. How ruthless! Can the human clan collect so many treasures in one cataclysm era? Zhang Xiai was very doubtful. After the ancestors of the Qingyuan clan died and lost the eternal universe, this clan declined to become a peak clan. It was indeed surprising that they had accumulated so many treasures in just one cataclysm era. So many treasures. Leave half of them for the human clan to accumulate, and use the rest to improve the grade of the killer shadow sword. Such a big harvest made Zhang Xiai very happy. Previously, he had captured so many experts of the Juntian sacred ground to trade because he had the idea of extorting them. He wanted to get a batch of treasures to improve the killer shadow sword. But he didn't expect that Juntian Supreme wouldn't take the bait. Let's see what the inheritance of the Qingyuan clan is like. Then Zhang Xiai stretched out his hand and used the heaven-connecting tower to collect the 9 black fireballs in the void. First, he used a wisp of his spiritual consciousness to probe into one of the black fireballs, and he saw a black inheritance stone floating within. Those not of the primordial realm will die if they touch it. Those not of the primordial realm will die if they touch it. Those not of the primordial realm will die if they touch it. Angry roars reverberated within the black fireball as if they were a warning. Those of the primordial realm? Zhang Xiai understood that this was the last test left behind by the Qingyuan clan to preserve their inheritance. I can even pass the test of the 8 clouds inheritance of the primordial realm. Naturally, I'm from the primordial realm. Zhang Xiai wasn't worried. His spiritual sense directly touched the inheritance stone. Suddenly, a large amount of inheritance information poured into his mind. This was a complete set of Saber Dao inheritance. The information he could see was only up to the limit of a heavenly venerable. He couldn't see anything after that. Inheritances were from low to high. Saber Dao cultivators could start cultivating from the Tribulation Transcender realm. If they were talented enough, they could cultivate to the limit of a heavenly venerable. Then Zhang Xiai checked the inheritance stones in the other 8 black fireballs. There were 8 other different inheritances inside. There were 7 types of fist, sword, refining, vegetation, machinery, and so on. There was also a miscellaneous type. If we don't consider the highest chaos essence divine king realm, the value of this Qingyuan inheritance is almost 10% of the 8 clouds inheritance. Zhang Xiai exclaimed in his heart. Moreover, there are no restrictions on the Qingyuan inheritance being passed on to outsiders. In other words, I can completely give these inheritances to the human race. In this way, our human race will develop even faster in the future. Because the 8 clouds inheritance had inheritance imprints, he couldn't take out the core inheritance. He could only use the hundreds of millions of peripheral inheritances to build a cultivation system for the human race. In terms of effect, although it was far better than the inheritances of the various factions in the Chaos Sea, it was definitely not as good as the Qingyuan inheritance. I'll go into seclusion on the spot and study the Qingyuan inheritance while using the killing shadow sword to devour those supreme treasures. Jiang Xi quickly made a decision. His current realm had reached the limit of a universe Tao Lord. The next step was to consider breaking through to become a heavenly venerable. The Qingyuan inheritance that he had just obtained could provide him with assistance in the next step of his cultivation. At the same time, Jiang Xi handed the Qingyuan inheritance to the upper echelons of the human race. Celestial Venerable Ming, Tao Lord Nine Clouds, Tao Lord Yanqing, and the others were all overjoyed when they heard about this. Time passed. 10,000 years passed in the blink of an eye. In the depths of the myriad world's ruins, about 80,000 light-years deep, there were also huge stone celestial bodies floating in the void. They were motionless as if they had been like this for countless years. Between those huge stone celestial bodies, wisps of green wind or white flames would appear from time to time. It looked extremely strange. Although it didn't give off any dangerous aura, the experts of the various factions in the Chaos Sea knew that it was a strange existence that could even kill a third-step heavenly venerable. At that moment, a 6th-grade flying boat supreme treasure was flying carefully between these huge stone celestial bodies. It took a safe path and perfectly avoided the wind and fire inside the supreme treasure space. A handsome man with a pair of pointy ears was carefully controlling the flying boat. Those who dared to explore the depths of the myriad world's ruins were naturally heavenly venerable experts. This was Heavenly Venerable Zhuoqing from the Red Lotus Sacred Ground. He was a famous third-step heavenly venerable in the Chaos Sea and loved to explore. He often appeared in the various dangerous places in the Chaos Sea. It shouldn't be. I clearly sensed an abnormal fluctuation nearby. Heavenly Venerable Zhuoqing frowned and carefully sensed. He didn't use his spiritual consciousness to search wantonly. In the myriad world's ruins, the biggest taboo was to use one's spiritual consciousness to explore wantonly. That would attract the strange green wind and white flames. The space-time here is completely still. Normally, there won't be any fluctuations unless other experts pass by or a new void world space is born. I'm not slow. The moment I sensed the abnormal fluctuation, I rushed over quickly. If there really are other heavenly venerable experts, I'll definitely be able to discover them. However, there are no signs of a void world space being born here. Strange. Heavenly Venerable Zhuoqing shook his head repeatedly. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. In the next moment, the abnormal spatial fluctuation appeared again and became stronger. Heavenly Venerable Zhuoqing followed the direction he sensed and controlled the flying boat's supreme treasure to approach it. Soon he saw a scene that terrified him. Run! Without thinking, he quickly changed direction and fled toward the top of the myriad world's ruins. He was in a panic. He did not even have time to take the safe path. Even deeper in the myriad world's ruins, endless green wind and white flames filled the bottom of the entire myriad world's ruins. It was like a huge fountain that was gushing up crazily. The huge volume gushed up. Although it looked slow, it was actually very fast. 1 second was 100 light years. The depth of the myriad world's ruins was only 90,000 light years. With the speed of the green wind and white flames, it would only take 15 minutes to completely fill the entire myriad world's ruins. In addition, the space-time inside the myriad world's ruins was completely still. It was impossible to use teleportation techniques. As long as one's flying speed was slower than the speed of the wind and fire, they would definitely be trapped. No, Heavenly Venerable Zhuoqing was terrified. In just 2 seconds he was caught up. Boom! Like a roaring wave, the terrifying energy formed by the wind and fire drowned his flying boat's supreme treasure. Not only Heavenly Venerable Zhuoqing, but all the experts in the myriad world's ruins, be it Heavenly Venerables or Tao Lords, were already too late when they saw the terrifying energy fountain formed by the wind and fire. Run! Terrifying! It's over. Is the crisis of this calamity coming in advance? The wind and fire of the myriad world's ruins is one of the most dangerous and strange things in the Chaos Sea. With such a huge amount gushing out, are they going to destroy the entire Chaos Sea? Those experts all fled in fear, but none of them could escape the engulfment of the wind and fire. The strange wind and fire would kill anyone who came into contact with it. In just 2 to 3 minutes, the news spread rapidly in the Chaos Sea. For a time, all the major forces were in a state of panic. At the same time, the humans of the Fourth Universe also learned of the news. The experts of the human race and their camp were basically wandering in the Goldflow River. Riverward was the only one who had ventured into the Wuxia ruins. Therefore, Tao Lord Nine Clouds immediately sent a message to Jiang Xi's clone, asking Jiang Xi to leave quickly. The Qingyuan clan's void world space was more than 60,000 light-years deep in the myriad world's ruins. At the moment, Jiang Xi was still in seclusion in the space. In the past 10,000 years he had not gone anywhere. He had been studying the inheritance of the Qingyuan clan and improving the grade of the killer shadow sword. When his clone received the message from Tao Lord Nine Clouds, he was also shocked. Those bizarre azure winds and white flames, just a wisp could take the life of an Empyrean powerhouse. Now they were gushing out from the depths of the myriad world's ruins like a fountain? Let's go. Jiang Xi did not hesitate and quickly left the void world space. As soon as he flew out of the Heaven-Span Pavilion, he saw 4 outsider celestial monarchs fleeing for their lives on their air transportation precious treasures in the distance. The myriad world's ruins was so huge that it was rare to see a foreign race heavenly master in normal times. Now he saw 4 of them at a glance. It was conceivable that the heavenly masters in the depths of the myriad world's ruins were frantically fleeing. Rumble. Soon Jiang Xi sensed a strong abnormal fluctuation and saw a terrifying scene. Wind and fire fused together. Like green and white magma, they filled up the entire space and surged upwards. The huge rocks floating in the void were quickly submerged. A foreign race heavenly master was submerged by the wind and fire along with his flying treasure. The remaining 3 were also trapped and could not escape. Jiang Xi was horrified. He drove the Tongtian Tower to fly with all his might. He did not care about finding a safe route. If he could not escape, it would be useless to take a safe route. However, what made him despair was that he could not teleport in this still space. Those huge rocks and celestial bodies also limited their flying speed. Without enough space, it was difficult for the Tongtian Tower to increase its speed. It's over. Jiang Xi had just thought of this. Boom! The terrifying energy formed by the wind and fire instantly flooded the Tongtian Tower. Chapter 652. In just 15 minutes, the green wind and white flames from the depths of Wuxia ruins merged with each other and drowned the entire Wuxia ruins. The immeasurably deep abyss with a diameter of 300 million light-years seemed to have turned into an ocean of green and white. After the green wind and white flames filled the Wuxia ruins, they stopped spreading outwards. The major forces in Chaos Sea heaved a sigh of relief. They were afraid that this was the crisis of the calamity. Wuxia ruins was the most dangerous place in Chaos Sea. The most dangerous things were the green wind and white flames. No expert dared to get involved with such strange things. If the energy of the fusion of wind and fire drowned the entire Chaos Sea, no living thing would survive. Soon, the major forces rushed to the edge of Wuxia ruins to take a closer look after confirming that the energy of the fusion of wind and fire would not spread out. No force has ever explored a place below 90,000 light-years. Not even the 2 sacred grounds. I didn't expect such things to be hidden below. Rumor has it that there's a great terror buried under Wuxia ruins. It will bury Wuxia ruins sooner or later. Is this the great terror mentioned in the rumor? It's too terrifying. I remember that at least 4 third-step celestial venerables wandered here and did not escape. Everyone observed from afar. No force dared to get close. The distant Juntian Sacred Ground and Red Lotus Sacred Ground were also paying attention to this situation. As the 2 primes could not enter Chaos Sea, they could only find out what had happened through their subordinates. More than 10,000 years ago, Illusion Divine General said that he was exploring Wuxia ruins and that we should not disturb him if there was nothing. Could it be that this was caused by him? Great Sky Supreme was extremely surprised and bewildered. Back then, even he did not dare to enter the area below 90,000 light-years in Wuxia ruins. Perhaps only mixed origin divine generals had the guts to go in. Strange. Juntian Supreme suddenly frowned as if he had discovered something. There are so many green winds and white flames hidden under the ruins of myriad worlds. In the star realm and the star origin realm, these two things are so weird that even the super experts in the chaotic origin realm would turn pale upon hearing them. Supreme Red Lotus was also very surprised. The next moment, her face changed slightly and was filled with confusion. Strange. Exalted Celestial Clearwater and the other 18 Tao Lords of my race who were caught up in the chaos are still alive? Logically speaking, this should be impossible. The strangeness that even super experts were afraid of flooded the entire Wuxia ruins like an ocean. How could the Celestial Exalts and Tao Lords, who had been drawn into the chaos, possibly survive? After tens of thousands of years of conquest, the human race had become the overlord of the fourth universe. Now, several higher-ups were in a state of worry and panic. This was because the pillar of their race, Wuxia, had also been sucked into the wind and fire energies. Before this, Jiangxi's clone had been cultivating in seclusion. Now Tao Lord Nine Firmaments Celestial Venerable Ming and other human experts immediately sought him out to ask about the latest situation. This was because Jiangxi's true body was the strongest. If it died, it would be a great loss to Jiangxi and the entire human race. It's strange. My original body didn't die. Jiangxi was also puzzled. Not dead. How is that possible? Even a third step exalted celestial would die if he was caught up in the two strangeness of the Wuxia ruins. Is it your heavenly tower that blocked the green wind and white flames? Tao Lord Nine Firmaments Celestial Venerable Ming and the others were shocked. Although they hoped that Jiangxi was fine, Tao Lord Nine Firmaments Celestial Venerable Ming and the others were still in disbelief when they heard this. Of course, the next moment they heaved a sigh of relief. No matter how he survived, it was fine as long as he was fine. It's not heavenly tower. My original body is in a special space-time domain. It's chaotic, but it also seems like I'm passing through some space-time boundary wall. Jiangxi could not confirm the situation. The other major factions in the Chaos Sea quickly discovered this because basically all the experts from the various factions had fallen into it. Some could confirm the situation through the doppelgangers of their own experts. Although some did not have clones, they could determine whether they were alive or dead through their life slips. Since they were not dead, there was hope for survival. Therefore, the major factions began to waiting for the experts who were drowned in the wind and fire energy to escape from the chaotic state. Many factions sent experts to be stationed near the Wuxia ruins. Whoosh, ripples appeared in the space. A figure appeared out of thin air. He wore an ancient animal skin robe and looked like a savage primitive. It was the most mysterious heavenly venerable Qing Shi of the fourth universe. Although this mysterious existence had arrived long ago, no matter how the various factions searched, they could not find heavenly venerable Qing Shi in this void. Heavenly venerable Qing Shi stood in the void and silently looked at the wind and fire energy that was slowly rolling. Just like that, he silently looked through the transmission of space-time as if he could see the scene in the depths of the Wuxia ruins. After a long time, finally it's here. Heavenly venerable Qing Shi murmured softly. He stepped on the void and quickly came to the edge of the Wuxia ruins. He was only one step away from the wind and fire energy that the various factions were trying to avoid. He squatted down and gently grabbed a handful of the magma-like wind and fire energy. That strange energy that would cause anyone's expression to change upon hearing it actually did not cause any harm to him. Ha ha. Ha ha ha. Heavenly venerable Qing Shi suddenly laughed out loud. He laughed until his whole body was trembling. Gradually, the crazy laughter became more and more mournful, containing a hysterical and endless hatred. Finally, the laughter gradually disappeared. He sat at the edge of the Wuxia ruins and gently grabbed the wind and fire energy with one hand. Sparkling tears that glowed with golden light silently fell from the corners of his eyes. Wind and fire converge. Dream origin world. This is what you said back then. You're here, you're finally back. Heavenly venerable Qing Shi's fingers were trembling. Dream origin world, dream back to the origin world. I wonder how many old friends are there? Heavenly venerable Qing Shi raised his head and looked at the endless void above, as if he could see the upper world. Sooner or later, we'll return it 100 times, 1,000 times, 10,000 times. Then he stepped into the void, took a step forward and disappeared into the void. Jiang Xi realized that even heaven-reaching tower could not block the wind and fire energy. This energy was like magma, filling up the space of the heavenly tower's treasure and drowning him strangely. Although the energy looked strange, it did not cause any harm to him. It only limited his spiritual senses and prevented him from seeing the situation outside. It's not that it's harmless, but that the energy can't harm me because my body and primordial spirit are stronger than most heavenly venerables. If it was an ordinary desolate level Tao Lord, I'm afraid he would have died by now. Moreover, the strength of the wind and fire energy is gradually increasing. If I continue to stay here, I'm afraid I'll be killed by the energy in the end. Jiang Xi looked serious and did not relax at all. Fortunately, his sharp intuition told him that he was traveling at extreme speed, as if he was passing through a barrier. After an unknown period of time, boom! Heaven-reaching tower seemed to have broken out of the water and rushed into a new world. Blue sky and white clouds above, wild continent below. The entire world was vast and boundless, giving off an extremely primitive feeling. After Jiang Xi entered, he immediately sensed that the outside world was filled with an incomparable aura. It was an aura that made one unable to help but feel happy. His body and primordial spirit were cheering, like a fish that had finally entered a lake from a small puddle in the desert. That wonderful feeling made his heart tremble. It's too comfortable. There's no restriction or suppression at all. There's actually no heaven-earth law restriction of chaos here. Could it be that I've entered the primordial realm? If that's the case. Jiang Xi's eyes widened and his face flushed red with excitement. He thought of something unbelievable. Haha, what a wonderful place. There's actually no restriction at all. Without the heaven-earth law of chaos, my body, my primordial spirit, and my secret techniques can be used to my heart's content. Heavenly Venerable Pure Clear, who was the first to be swept in, was also incomparably excited and carefree. He was a third step Heavenly Venerable of the Red Lotus Sacred Ground. Before the Red Lotus Sacred Ground was established, his body had already reached the limit of a Heavenly Venerable, and was even close to the Eternal Supreme Realm. Unfortunately, the calamity had already descended at that time, and he had no chance to make another breakthrough. He could only stay in Red Lotus Supreme's Sacred Ground universe. However, his body remained at the half-step Supreme Realm, which also made him a transcendent existence. In this calamity era, only Heavenly Venerable Purple Firmament back then could suppress him. After Heavenly Venerable Purple Firmament was suppressed by the Fourth Universe, Heavenly Venerable Pure Clear was fully deserving of the title of the #1 powerhouse in Chaos. As for Juntian Supreme and Red Lotus Supreme, they were only in name and could not leave the Sacred Ground universe at all. Ever since I became a half-step Supreme, under the suppression of Chaos' Heaven-Earth law, I've never truly unleashed all my strength. Now, in this world there's actually no such overbearing Heaven-Earth law. I can use all my strength to my heart's content. Heavenly Venerable Pure Clear laughed. Let's take a look at this world and see what secrets it has. Could this be the legendary Upper Realm? Swoosh! Heavenly Venerable Pure Clear controlled his flying true treasure and rapidly flew downwards. Soon he landed on the barren land. This was an ancient and boundless land, surrounded by boundless mountain ranges that rose and fell continuously. The energy that filled the land was more comfortable than the heaven and earth spirit energy in Chaos. This is the place where powerhouses should live. Heavenly Venerable Pure Clear was full of smiles as he explored this land. Roar! Suddenly, a deafening roar reverberated. Boom! A beam of light flickered in the distance. Its speed far exceeded 100 times or 1,000 times the speed of light, and directly appeared in front of Heavenly Venerable Pure Clear. It was a huge sinister beast with 6 heads and a mouthful of fangs. This evil beast looked down at Heavenly Venerable Pure Clear, and let out a furious roar. Scram! This is my territory. Heavenly Venerable Pure Clear was a little confused. The moment he saw this evil beast, he recognized its strength. It was also at the Heavenly Venerable level. Second step Heavenly Venerable? Heavenly Venerable Pure Clear was in disbelief. Although he had a premonition that this world was not simple, this complexity had already exceeded his imagination. One had to know, in the vast Chaos, the number of Empyrean powerhouses from various factions added up was just over 100. Normally, being able to see one was a very difficult thing. He did not expect that in this world, the first living being he encountered was actually an Empyrean powerhouse. Furthermore, it was a second-step Empyrean. Scram! The evil beast roared angrily again, issuing a warning. Heavenly Venerable Pure Clear was even more confused. Because he understood, but did not know how to say it. Very clearly, the language that this evil beast spoke was a very special language. Even if one did not understand, one could easily understand the meaning in the words. It was just that he did not know how to say it. Ew! Heavenly Venerable Pure Clear opened his mouth but did not know what to say. Roar! The evil beast was enraged. It saw that the other party was a little stronger than it, so it did not attack immediately and only warned. But this guy with two pointy ears in front of it actually dared to ignore it. This was provoking it. Boom! The evil beast instantly turned into a stream of light, only to see 6 dazzling arcs of light appear in the world. It was shot out from its 6 heads, directly sweeping towards Heavenly Venerable Pure Clear. Heavenly Venerable Pure Clear jumped in fright and hurriedly teleported to dodge. Boom! 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 Immediately, 6 huge canyons appeared in the surrounding millions of kilometers of land. This is a second-step Empyrean? Heavenly Venerable Pure Clear was alarmed. That power just now was already not much different from a third-step Empyrean in the Chaos Sea. Seeing that the evil beast still wanted to attack, he immediately panicked and wanted to send a spiritual sense voice transmission over. Through spiritual sense voice transmission, there was no need for that special language to completely express the meaning. However, just as his spiritual sense was transmitted over, it was directly shattered by the evil beast. You want to use an essence spirit attack? The evil beast was even more furious. Flames of anger soared to the sky as violent energy condensed once more. Heavenly Venerable Pure Clear was even more helpless. He only wanted to send a voice transmission and communicate. I'm not fighting with you. Heavenly Venerable Pure Clear hurriedly said. Roar! The evil beast ignored him and charged over with a roar. Before the wind and fire energy gushed out, there were about 200 experts wandering in the myriad world ruins. They also entered this world one after another. However, they were all very lucky. They were not as unlucky as Heavenly Venerable Pure Clear, who encountered a native Heavenly Venerable expert the moment he entered. When everyone discovered that this world was actually completely different from the Chaos Sea, they were all pleasantly surprised. They thought that they had arrived at a wonderful world that had great opportunities. Whoosh! The heaven-connecting tower descended onto a vast plain. Immediately after, heaven-reaching tower disappeared. Jiang Xi, who was wearing black battle armor and carrying the killing shadow sword, appeared out of thin air. What a wonderful world! Jiang Xi took a deep breath. The energy that was clearly of a higher level than the heaven and earth spirit chi rapidly surged into his body. A world without the restrictions of the Chaos Sea's heaven and earth law. An incomparably stable world. Even I find it difficult to destroy the space of this world. Chi. Jiang Xi slashed out with his sword. The killing shadow sword that had already reached the peak of rank 8 did not cut through space. If this was the Chaos Sea, he could shatter the void with a single slash. However, in this world he did not even leave behind a trace of space. The stability of this world was far beyond his imagination. Beautiful, stable, magical. Jiang Xi found it difficult to suppress the excitement in his heart. To me, without the restrictions of the Chaos Sea's heaven and earth law is the greatest opportunity. This is because I can see all the 8 clouds' inheritance, and am no longer limited by the heavenly venerable limit. Eternal. Primordial chaos. I can see it all. In this world, I can even cultivate to the eternal realm directly. Jiang Xi thought excitedly. Chapter 653. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. While Jiang Xi was excited, a figure suddenly leaped forward in the distance. It stepped on the ground like lightning and soon landed in front of Jiang Xi. It was a child with black braids. He was holding a large piece of barbecued meat in his hand and eating it deliciously. The child looked at Jiang Xi. Outsider, this is the territory of my Timing tribe. Why did you barge in without permission? Could it be that you are the kind of traveler that the elders of the tribe talked about, the one who travels the world? Riverward, on the other hand, was shocked. Language. The strength of the child in front of him was average, at the level of a ninth tribulation transcender. However, the language the child spoke was actually the common language of the primordial realm, recorded in the Eight Clouds legacy. Is this really the primordial realm? Jiang Xi was very surprised. Then he nodded and said, "Yes, I am a traveler." He used the very standard common language of the primordial realm. When he was in the Eight Clouds Pavilion, he studied the entire basic legacy of the primordial realm's civilization. Naturally, he knew the primordial realm's common language, and it was the most authentic one. Wow, I also want to be a traveler. However, I have to become a perfected monarch before I can go out and travel. The child's eyes were filled with desire. Jiang Xi smiled, but the surprise in his heart did not fade. The creatures of this world seem very powerful. Just a random child he met had the strength of a ninth tribulation transcender. Then what about the powerhouses above that? Then, he went to the Timing tribe under the child's invitation. During the conversation with the child, Jiang Xi learned a lot about this world. This world was called the Dream Origin Realm. In the eyes of the child, this was a boundless world. Only by becoming a perfected monarch could one leave the tribe and travel around. It's not the primordial realm, but the strength of the creatures here is somewhat similar to that of the primordial realm. Jiang Xi was amazed, because the people of the Timing tribe could become perfected monarchs with a little effort. Our tribe is right in front of us. The child laughed in high spirits. Go back. From afar, he saw two majestic figures that were 100,000 kilometers tall fighting. One wielded a saber while the other wielded a spear. They fought like gods. One of them was sent flying, rolling and crashing into the foot of a mountain in the distance. Downlords. Jiang Xi was secretly shocked. Judging from the strength of their auras, they are all universe downlords. Boom! Kill! One more round. Jiang Xi looked elsewhere, only to discover that there were many pairs of experts fighting in the distance. Every single one of them was at the downlord level. The warriors of our tribe are all training here. The child chortled. Our Timing tribe has 1 billion tribesmen. All of them are mighty warriors who have experienced countless life and death battles in order to become downlords. 1 billion clansmen. Jiang Xi sighed inwardly. The Dream Origin Realm was truly terrifying to be able to give birth to so many downlords with just 1 billion clansmen. The human race now occupied more than 70% of the territory of the fourth universe. They had countless clansmen, but the number of downlords they had didn't even exceed 30. Whoosh whoosh. Jiang Xi and the child flew forward, getting closer and closer to the core of the Timing tribe. Oh! Jiang Xi saw 3 towering figures standing high in the sky. The 3 figures exuded powerful auras. They were all wearing black battle armor, carrying warhammers, axes, and other strength-type weapons. Heavenly Venerables. Jiang Xi was shocked once again. How long had he been in this world? He had already seen 3 heavenly venerables. How powerful was the overall strength of the Dream Origin Realm? Jiang Xi was originally very ambitious, but he immediately restrained such thoughts. He had to be cautious first. The Timing tribe had 1 billion clansmen and was an extremely powerful tribe. Jiang Xi's true cultivation was still at the downlord level. It was too common for young fellows like him to travel the world to train themselves. He couldn't even get an audience with the upper echelons of the tribe. However, he was warmly received by the hundreds of families around the child. There were also surrounding experts who came to spar with Jiang Xi. What a battle-crazed tribe. Jiang Xi sighed inwardly. Fourth universe, human territory. Jiang Xi's avatar and downlord 9 Clouds were together. They had been waiting for the latest news from Jiang Xi's original body. Master, I can confirm that it is a powerful world called the Dream Origin Realm. It is similar to the primordial realm. From the information that I have just come into contact with, I can tell that the strength of this world is beyond our imagination. The language they use is also the common language of the primordial realm. I have learned it from 8 Clouds legacy. Now I will pass this language to you. You can also let the upper echelons of the human race learn it. Jiang Xi said solemnly. Since his original body could enter the Dream Origin Realm after being sucked into the wind and fire energy of the myriad world ruins, It meant that other experts could enter as well. Perhaps, the various factions in the Chaos Sea had already started preparing to enter. The human race naturally couldn't fall behind. Now, the more the human race knew about the Dream Origin Realm, the greater the advantage they would have when they entered. Dream Origin Realm. Primordial Realm. It seems like the Dream Origin Realm hides a huge secret. The language you mentioned is very important. It is the most important part of the assimilation process for outsiders. Tao Lord Nine Clouds also knew the key. Since you said that there is a chance to cultivate eternity in there, you should seize it. If the upper echelons of the human race want to enter, you don't have to take care of them. Just take care of yourself. Tao Lord Nine Clouds exhorted again. Jiang Xi nodded. The truth was just as Jiang Xi and Tao Lord Nine Clouds thought. Through the experts that were trapped in the Dream Origin Realm, the various factions in the Chaos Sea had confirmed one point. Through the wind and fire energy of the myriad world ruins, they could enter a powerful world. Some factions already knew that it was the Dream Origin Realm. Some were still clueless and were exploring. However, this information was enough. All the factions knew that there was an opportunity there. Therefore, they were all waiting for the right moment. Once the powerhouses in Dream Origin Realm provided more information about Dream Origin Realm, they would immediately send more powerhouses into Dream Origin Realm. In another boundless mountain range in the Dream Origin Realm. Boom! 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 The demonic beast and heavenly venerable Zhuoqing were fighting in a frenzy. Idiot, is that all you have? Heavenly venerable Zhuoqing sneered. Come, come, come. Continue. Puny worm, you've angered me. You've angered me. The demonic beast was furious. Heavenly venerable Zhuoqing was even more arrogant. He no longer had the attitude of negotiating with the demonic beast. I've learned how to pronounce the word fire. An expert's memory was strong to begin with. As none of the factions in the Chaos Sea had ever spoken such a language, they did not even know how to pronounce it. Heavenly Venerable Zhuoqing naturally did not know how to pronounce it. Now, after hearing the demonic beast's pronunciations, coupled with the fact that he could understand the demonic beast's meaning, he immediately matched the pronunciation with the words. As such, it was not too difficult to master this language. Heavenly Venerable Zhuoqing kept provoking the demonic beast, while trying hard to learn how to pronounce every word. In just half an hour of fighting, he had learned more than 500 words. Moreover, during the fight, he heard the demonic beast say the words Dream Origin Realm. Thus, he deduced that this world called Dream Origin Realm was not the legendary Upper Realm. You're too weak. You're not strong enough. Heavenly Venerable Zhuoqing continued to mock loudly. Roar! The demonic beast was really angry. This outsider in front of it was at a disadvantage because he had an armor treasure. A wild beast like it that was free and unfettered and occupied a territory in the wilderness naturally did not have any armor treasures. I've angered you. You're too weak. Heavenly Venerable Zhuoqing laughed and returned the pronunciation that he had learned previously. You are too shameless. The demonic beast roared and finally stopped. Heavenly Venerable Zhuoqing was secretly delighted. He had learned how to pronounce the word shameless again. He was not stupid. He had just entered the Dream Origin Realm, and he had already met a Heavenly Venerable level expert. Clearly, the strength of the Dream Origin Realm was beyond his imagination. Thus, it was very important to learn the language here. I'll just pester this beast and learn how to pronounce words from it. No matter how much I offend it, I'll only offend you. Heavenly Venerable Zhuoqing thought to himself. Damn it! The strange vicious beast's fury soared to the heavens. It was forced into a corner. It roared at the sky, all of you come over. This worm is too difficult to deal with. He has an armor treasure. Kill him and we'll split the spoils. Its voice spread out like thunder. In just a few seconds, powerful figures rushed over from different directions in this vast mountain range. They were all other demonic beasts. Heavenly Venerable Zhuoqing looked around and immediately confirmed that there were a total of 12 Heavenly Venerable level beasts. You're too shameless. You call for help when you can't win. Heavenly Venerable Zhuoqing shouted and turned into a stream of light, quickly escaping. Catch him. Don't let him escape. He has an armor treasure. It's extremely precious. The demonic beasts from before and the 12 that had just appeared immediately surrounded heavenly venerable Zhuqing. Timing tribe stretched as far as the eye could see. A large number of tribesmen lived in various places. In one of the places, two figures were constantly changing their positions at lightning speed as they fought crazily. Bam! Jiangxi's leg carried a dazzling golden light. Like a burning meteor, it struck the other party's chest. The burly man was sent flying by the kick. He slammed into a small mountain in the distance, causing the mountain to shake and a lot of rocks to fall off. Mountain C. The burly man who had been sent tumbling away leaped into the air and returned to the front with his long staff. He shouted, "Your kick is really powerful. I didn't even have time to block it. Previously, I also sparred with those travelers who came to our tribe. They weren't as powerful as you." Uncle Shanhai must have traveled to many tribes. The hundreds of children who were watching the battle from afar cheered and ran over when they saw that the battle had stopped. Especially the child who had brought Jiangxi to Timing tribe, Tai Luo, who was cheering excitedly. Haha. Jiangxi smiled and patted Tai Luo's head. He had been a guest in Timing tribe for 3 days. In these 3 days, Jiangxi created the most common image of a traveler. He was obsessed with fighting and often sparred with the warriors in the tribe. In the process, he learned more about the Dream Origin Realm through these warriors. First of all, the Dream Origin Realm was a very large world. Jiangxi didn't know the exact number, but he was sure that the diameter of the Dream Origin Realm was definitely more than 10 trillion light-years. It was beyond the limit of the eternal sacred land. In the entire Chaos Sea, only the 4 primal universes could surpass the Dream Origin Realm. The Dream Origin Realm is really extraordinary. Although it can't be compared to the Primal Origin Realm recorded in the 8 Clouds Inheritance, the overall strength of this world is definitely greater than many of the super forces in the Primal Origin Realm. Jiangxi looked at the child Tai Luo and sighed in his heart. There were countless tribes in the Dream Origin Realm. The tribes fought and killed each other crazily for survival space. Their warriors were also exceptionally powerful. Once a living being was born in the Dream Origin Realm, as long as they reached adulthood, they would become tribulation transcenders. They breathed in the powerful energy of the Dream Origin Realm since they were young. After a long time, they would naturally master a great Tao law. Everyone could become a tribulation transcender expert. After some more training, they could become a true monarch expert. However, there was still a certain degree of difficulty to become a Tao monarch expert. Usually, only one Tao monarch expert would appear in hundreds of true monarch-level tribe warriors. Comparatively speaking, there were much fewer heavenly venerables. Of course, this was the internal comparison of the Dream Origin Realm. If it was compared to the Chaos Sea would be completely defeated. As for those who surpassed the heavenly venerables and reached the eternal supreme level, in the Chaos Sea there were only 2 supreme level experts. But here, when Jiangxi was communicating with the warriors of Timing tribe, he heard that there was definitely an eternal supreme in this world. Moreover, Timing tribe had one. He was the greatest existence in the entire Timing tribe leader Timing. Because of the strength of this tribe leader, Timing tribe's position in the Dream Origin Realm was extremely stable. They were ranked among the strongest tribes. Eternal supreme. Jiangxi was excited when he confirmed this news. This world really allowed the existence of an eternal supreme. If Timing tribe alone had an eternal supreme, then there must be many eternal realm experts in the entire Dream Origin Realm. There might even be powerful existences in the primordial chaos realm. At the same time, Jiangxi also reorganized the 8 Clouds legacy in his memory. He went through all the information that he could not see in the Chaos Sea, including all the information about the eternal realm and the primordial chaos realm. This gave him great confidence. Jiangxi stayed in Timing tribe for a few more days before he was ready to leave. He found his new friend Tai Yan, who he often sparred with these days. Tai Yan, I'm leaving. Leaving? Tai Yan was stunned. He was a very talented Tao monarch warrior in Timing tribe. According to the entire tribe, Tai Yan could definitely be called a heavenly venerate expert. Jiangxi had sparred with many warriors in Timing tribe. This Tai Yan was the most difficult one to deal with. Of course, Jiangxi deliberately hid his strength. He only showed the battle strength of a half-step heavenly venerate. This was enough to prove the strength of Tai Yan's talent. According to Jiang Xi's judgment, Tai Yan's talent should be similar to his master, Dao Monarch 9 Clouds. Are you going to continue your travels? Tai Yan asked again. No, I'm going to join the army this time. Jiang Xi smiled. Army? Tai Yan's eyes lit up. Yes, I've been traveling for a long time. It's time to challenge myself. I want to become stronger by joining the army. Joining the army of my king is the best way. Countless experts in the entire Dream Origin realm are gathered there. There will be more and more powerful battles. Jiang Xi's voice was filled with anticipation. He was really looking forward to it because according to the warriors in Taiming tribe, the entire Dream Origin realm had a common master, the great godly king. Godly king. Since he dared to use these two words, Jiang Xi immediately concluded that he was a super expert in the primordial chaos godly king realm. Chapter 654. Jiang Xi even learned from the conversation that the Dream Origin realm was only one of the forces under the deity king. It was mainly used to train the army and train the strong ones. Only the real elite warriors would be summoned by the deity king to leave the Dream Origin realm and fight for the deity king. Fighting for the deity king was the ultimate goal of every living being in the Dream Origin realm. However, the deity king had not brought the elite warriors from the Dream Origin realm for a long time. This information reminded Jiang Xi of the primordial realm army that fought in the final path. The Dream Origin realm might have been the military base of one of the deity king in the primordial realm. It was used to train elite warriors. However, the primordial realm army had been defeated and the deity king had fallen. Naturally, they would not summon warriors from this world. As for the Dream Origin realm, it was still cultivating warriors in accordance with the rules set by the deity king over the endless years. Therefore, countless tribes would call their people warriors. Every once in a while, a portion of the Dao Monarch level warriors would be taken away to join the army according to the ratio. Only after staying in the army for a long time could they retire and regain their freedom. If they did not escape from the army, they would be hunted down by the entire Dream Origin realm. The army was the strongest force in the Dream Origin realm. There were a lot of treasures there. For example, the extremely precious 7th level treasures in the Chaos Sea were only standard equipment for heavenly venerable level warriors in the army. At the same time, the army had a lot of inheritance guidance that could help them cultivate to a higher level. However, the elimination rate in the army was very high. Elimination meant death. It would be good if 5 out of 100 warriors who joined the Dream Origin realm army could retire alive. It was very cruel. The Dream Origin realm army had many benefits, but it was also the scariest part of this world. Because 99% of the Dao monarchs, heavenly venerables and eternal supremes in this world were gathered in the army. It could be said that the true core secret of this world was only in the army. Therefore, Jiang Xi had to join the army. Over there, he could cultivate to heavenly venerable level faster, or even eternal supremes. Only by fighting with stronger people in the army can I become stronger, Riverward said to Tai Yan with a smile, portraying himself as a traveler who liked to fight. You want to join the army? Tai Yan also excitedly roared. Just you wait, my tribe will soon have a group of warriors to join the army. I'll go as well, and we'll go together. Oh, Jiang Xi's heart skipped a beat. He nodded and said, all right, let's go together then. Following that, he continued to wait in the Taiming tribe. However, Tai Yan's so-called very soon was actually half a year's time. Universe 4, Heavenly Mountain and Diagram. The human leaders were gathering here to discuss how to deal with the new Dream Origin realm. As more and more Dao Lords arrived, the atmosphere grew quite lively. I heard that there are eternal supremes in the Dream Origin realm. Also, it's said that there are many supreme treasures there. 7th grade supreme treasures are just standard equipment for the army. Jiang Xi, are there a lot of Empyreans there? Everyone asked excitedly and expectantly. Because only Jiang Xi was involved in the Dream Origin realm, the others didn't know the situation there. Whoosh! When Celestial Venerable Ming and Dao Lord 9 Firmaments appeared, the Dao Lords who were still discussing quietened down. In front of the long table, Celestial Venerable Ming sat on a black throne at one end. Tao Lord Nine Firmaments sat on the left while Jiang Xi sat on the right. Everyone. Tao Lord Nine Firmaments, who was usually in charge of the human affairs, spoke first. The Dream Origin Realm has appeared for more than half a year. Although Jiang Xi is the only one involved in the Dream Origin Realm. However, many of the human experts in the Universe 4 have also been involved in the Dream Origin Realm. Therefore, we have gathered a lot of information. Together with the information exchange with the other forces in the Chaos Sea, we have a basic understanding of the Dream Origin Realm. Today, I will explain to all of you how to deal with the Dream Origin Realm in the future. The Dream Origin Realm is extremely powerful. But in reality, it should only be considered a corner of the Upper Realm civilization, which is the Primordial Realm civilization or something else. What we can be sure of is that although the Dream Origin Realm is powerful, the native living beings can only live in the Dream Origin Realm forever. They can't walk out alive. Tao Lord Nine Firmaments looked at everyone and then smiled. That's why we're the main characters now. Jiang Xi's eyes lit up. Actually, when he first entered the Dream Origin Realm, he did feel the invisible pressure in his heart. But now he felt relieved after hearing it. Cage. These two words were very suitable for the state of the Dream Origin Realm. That world was indeed a huge cage. No matter how powerful the experts were, they could not walk out and enter the Chaos Sea. No matter how powerful the Dream Origin Realm was, they, the outsiders who entered from the Chaos Sea, were the main characters. Although the Dream Origin Realm is not comparable to the real Primordial Realm civilization, it is definitely much more powerful than the Chaos Sea. To living beings like us who live in the Chaos Sea, there are great opportunities and also great challenges there. The rules of heaven and earth there allow the existence of eternal supremes. There are even super experts who are stronger than eternal supremes. As long as we can cultivate eternity there, we will not be afraid of the calamity in the Chaos Sea. From another point of view, the Dream Origin Realm is a base for cultivating elite warriors. The entire world is filled with battles. The core of their power is the army. An army that belongs to a certain deity king. Those armies are carrying out cruel screening and elimination. Once you enter, you will temporarily lose your freedom and have to obey military orders. You will have to go through all kinds of cruel screening. The death rate is extremely high. More than 200 heavenly venerables and Tao Lords were involved in the first batch of Chaos Sea. However, according to the news I received not long ago, more than 120 of them have already perished. Tao Lord Nine Firmaments said with a solemn expression, "So many? That world is actually so dangerous." Previously, those who dared to explore the ruins of myriad worlds were all top experts. Most of them were Universe Realm Tao Lords. Many of the upper echelons of the human race were shocked. Even Jiang Xi was surprised. Before the upper echelon meeting, Tao Lord Nine Firmaments did not reveal this information when he talked to him. Yes, Tao Lord Nine Firmaments nodded and continued. There are many tribes in the Dream Origin Realm. Other than the countless ancient tribes, there are many special ferocious beasts in the wilderness. Walking in the wilderness is very easy to be attacked. Those indigenous living beings know the safe route, but outsiders like us do not so in just half a year. More than half of them have died. Moreover, so many of them have died before entering the army. If they enter the army, it is said that more than 95% of them will be eliminated. Only the army in the Dream Origin Realm has detailed cultivation guidance, above the eternal level. But based on the death rate, it can be determined that even if all the experts in the Chaos Sea enter, it will be difficult for even one of us to surpass the limit of celestial venerables and reach the eternal level. After Tao Lord Nine Firmaments finished speaking, the upper echelons of the human race fell silent. Originally, they were very eager to enter the Dream Origin Realm immediately. Now it was like a basin of cold water was poured over their heads. So many had died before entering the army. Once they entered the army and became celestial venerables, another batch would be eliminated. And the cultivation guidance from celestial venerables to the eternal level would not be easily imparted by the army. One could imagine the high elimination rate. It was very cruel. Jiang Xi was also silent. It was very difficult for others, but he was very confident. Because he had the experience points panel and the 8 clouds inheritance. However, the cultivation information behind the 8 Clouds inheritance could only be seen by the original body in the dream origin realm. His avatar was still limited by the laws of heaven and earth in the Chaos Sea, and could not see the information. Therefore, he could not impart the higher cultivation inheritance to the upper echelons of the human race. While everyone was silent, Ming Ming suddenly smiled and said, "Reaching the eternal level is an extremely difficult thing. Perhaps among us only Jiang Xi has the chance to do it. So, in my opinion, we might as well lower our goal and become celestial venerables first." As soon as he said that, the upper echelons of the human race nodded in realization. Yes, reaching the eternal level was not that easy. In the entire Chaos Sea, there were only 2 eternal supremes since the Calamity Era. Those who could become celestial venerables were already the top existences in the Chaos Sea. Ming Ming smiled again and said, "Our human race already has 2 super inheritances, 8 Clouds inheritance and Qingyuan inheritance. One can reach Chaos Origin Immortal King, and the other can reach Chaos Origin Immortal General. These 2 inheritances are probably the highest inheritances in the Dream Origin realm. The guidance to reach the Celestial Venerables is enough for us. Therefore, we don't have to take risks for the time being. We can wait and see. As time goes by, the secrets of the Dream Origin realm will gradually be revealed. Of course, if you really want to go, you can. But only when you have an avatar, you are allowed to take risks." Ming finally warned with a serious look. "That makes sense. Indeed, we need to be cautious." The upper echelons of the human race also calmed down and were not as fanatical as before. Although a real expert had to be fearless, he could not be too reckless and disregard his own life. Jiang Xi also nodded and agreed with Ming's words. After all, according to his experience in the past 6 months, there were no inheritances in the tribes of the Dream Origin realm. If one wanted to become an expert, he had to join the army. This was the iron law of the entire Dream Origin realm. Only the army would have profound inheritances above celestial venerables. Even if the tribal warriors obtained inheritances in the army, they would not dare to impart them in the tribe. As for joining the army, it was too dangerous. The deaths of the first batch of experts who were sucked into the Dream Origin realm was the best proof. The upper echelons of the human race were now awake. Inheritances? There were profound inheritances in the army and detailed guidance to reach the eternal realm. But could they survive the heavy screening of the army and survive to the end? Treasures? There were indeed many treasures in the army. Even level 7 treasures were only standard equipment for celestial venerables. But how many celestial venerables were there in the Chaos Sea? Only a little over 100. Even if all of them joined the army, according to the 90% elimination rate, only a little over a dozen could join the army. And then only for standard equipment. Just thinking about it sent chills down their spines. It was too cruel. No hurry. We can enter at any time. So what if the indigenous creatures in the Dream Origin realm are powerful? They will never come out. Those indigenous creatures don't know that their godly king is probably long gone. Now, the common view in the Chaos Sea was that the Dream Origin realm was a corner of the primordial realm civilization, or a universe created by the godly king. It was just like the miniature universe of celestial venerables, only bigger. All the superpowers in the Chaos Sea felt their own weakness. They could only tell themselves that they were the protagonists and the creatures inside were prisoners. They comforted themselves with this way of thinking so that they would not lose their mental balance. After all, they were all the top beings in the Chaos Sea. In the Dream Origin realm, they became the most ordinary experts. This kind of huge psychological gap was hard for every powerhouse to accept for a while. Dream Origin realm, Tai Ming tribe. Mountain Sea, hurry up. We are leaving. Tai Yin shouted at Jiang Xi. Jiang Xi was saying goodbye to some friends he had made in the past 6 months. Then he followed Tai Yin to the gathering place. You must come back. Oh Yin, trust me. I will come back alive. I will come back. Don't come back until you become a celestial venerable. There were already many people at the gathering place. There were tens of thousands of people from the Tai Ming tribe. Some of them were family members, some were friends, and some were children with expectant eyes. Even the children in the Dream Origin realm were no exception. They all wanted to join the army. However, the minimum requirement to join the army was to become a Dao Lord. Come up quickly. A celestial venerable in red armor roared. His armor was full of scars, as if it had gone through countless fierce battles. Above him, a crimson battleship was floating. The ancient battleship was emitting a powerful aura. Zhang Xiai looked up. He had already recognized that it was a 7th-level flying true treasure. Uncle Tai Di made great contributions in the army, so he got a precious flying true treasure. With this battleship, we will be much safer on our way to the army. When I join the army, I want a powerful flying true treasure too. Tai Yin looked very excited. Our goal is too small. We should get something better than this. Zhang Xiai said with a smile. Yes, something better. Tai Yin nodded excitedly. The Empyrean powerhouse who was gathering the tribe's warriors turned his head and slapped Tai Yan's shoulder, causing Tai Yan's body to tremble. Well said, Tai Yan. When you join the army, you must do better than me. You are one of the most outstanding among the younger generation of the Tai Ming tribe. Don't embarrass the Tai Ming tribe in the army. Celestial Venerable Tai Di said with a smile. Yes, Uncle Di. Tai Yin hurriedly responded. Riverward, who was watching from the side, was shocked. Very strong. The Celestial Venerable Tai Di's slap had reached the limit of a Celestial Venerable. It was not much different from Celestial Venerable Ming. To be able to survive the cruel selection of the army and be rewarded, it was indeed not easy. Let's go. Get on the battleship. Tai Yin called out to Zhang Xiai and the two of them entered the battleship together. The powerful warriors of the Tai Ming tribe also followed in. They were all filled with excitement and endless fighting spirit. Chapter 655. The warship's treasure space was simple and crude. Nearly 1,000 warriors of the Tai Ming tribe stood neatly in the space, each of them maintaining a height of 10,000 kilometers. Although some of them could reach a height of 100,000 kilometers, no one dared to act recklessly. This time, nearly 1,000 Daolord warriors of the Tai Ming tribe will join the White Flame Army. Tai Di stood at the front and said loudly, of course, apart from the warriors of my tribe, we'll also be going with an adventurous warrior, Shan Hai. Shan Hai is very powerful. I'm afraid none of you can match up to him. If any of you can match up to Shan Hai after joining the army, I'll give him this warship. Instantly, the warriors of the Tai Ming tribe looked at Zhang Xiai, not concealing their desire to fight. Zhang Xiai smiled. They were treating him as a benchmark. Although he had sparred with many Daolord warriors of the Tai Ming tribe in the past half a year, these thousands of warriors of the Tai Ming tribe had gathered here. However, there were close to 1,000 people in front of him. They came from various regions of the Tai Ming tribe. Many of them were people he had never seen before. Why are you staring at me? Tai Yan, who was standing beside Zhang Xiai, shouted. Even I'm no match for Shan Hai, let alone you. What? Tai Yan, even you are no match for Shan Hai. The warriors of the tribe who were eager to fight Zhang Xiai looked at Zhang Xiai in surprise and admiration. The people of the Dream Origin realm were simple and honest. They respected powerful beings. You want to challenge powerful beings? Tai Di looked at them and shouted, little guys, I'm not afraid to tell you. When I was still a Daolord warrior, nearly 1,000 of my tribe brothers joined the army. In the end, less than 30 of them came back alive. Only 3 of them became celestial venerables. I hope your batch is stronger than ours. Instantly, everyone quieted down. Although everyone knew that the military was cruel, they felt even more pressured after hearing Celestial Venerable Tai Di's words. Celestial Venerables? Not only do we want to become Celestial Venerables, but we also want to become eternal paragons and powerful beings like our tribe leader. Tai Yin shouted with fighting spirit. Eternal paragons! Eternal paragons! The other tribal warriors also began to roar. This was their dream, the cultivation goal of every tribal warrior. In the entire Tai Ming tribe, only the patriarch was an eternal paragon. That was the goal of countless tribal warriors. Zhang Xiai listened silently from the side. His heart was also filled with fighting spirit. Eternal supremacy? That was also his cultivation goal. Heavenly Venerate Tai Di smiled and shouted, let's go. Boom! The ancient warship instantly accelerated and transformed into a stream of light. disappearing from the skies above the Taiming tribe. The dream origin realm was filled with boundless aura. Jiang Xiai and nearly 1,000 Dao Lord warriors of the Taiming tribe, under the leadership of Celestial Lord Tai Di, rode the ancient warship, alternating between teleporting and flying at high speeds. On the way, they had already encountered so many dangers, which made many soldiers who had not traveled in Dream Origin Realm feel very curious about it. I've long heard that there are 3 Eternal Supremacy level beasts occupying the Congming mountain range and leading a large number of beasts. Celestial Lord Tai Di looked below. Even the White Flame Army sometimes uses the beasts here to train their warriors. No wonder it's the famous Congming mountain range. He sighed in amazement. Jiang Xiai followed his gaze and looked below. This was an incomparably vast mountain range that stretched for tens of thousands of kilometers, could even be counted in light years. Amidst the lingering clouds, beasts could be seen faintly in the mountain range. Many of the beasts' auras had reached the heavenly venerate level. This was a terrifying force that was 10 times stronger than the Taiming tribe. 3 eternal supremacies. Jiang Xiai was shocked. He now had a clear understanding of the division of forces in Dream Origin Realm. There were 2 main forces in Dream Origin Realm. One was the tribal forces and the other was the beasts. Both forces were ruled by the army. The army was the true ruler of this world. However, in order to train the warriors, the army would still send some ordinary warriors to attack some beasts and tribal forces. Of course, this kind of training would only happen between Heavenly Venerate and Dao Lord level warriors. Eternal Supremacies would not participate. This was the norm of the forces in Dream Origin Realm. It had lasted for many eras. Next, the ancient warship moved forward. What Jiang Xiai saw and heard along the way was an eye-opener for him. He was amazed by the number of powerful creatures in Dream Origin Realm. Although he had a good understanding of Primordial Realm through the basic civilization inheritance in 8 Clouds Legacy, he knew that it was a world that was many times stronger than Dream Origin Realm. However, no matter how strong Primordial Realm was, his understanding of Primordial Realm only existed in written records. When he saw the strength of Dream Origin Realm with his own eyes, he was even more shocked. There are hundreds and thousands of heavenly venerates in Taiming tribe. There are probably more than 10,000 heavenly venerates in Congming mountain range. Jiang Xiai thought, there are countless tribes and beasts in Dream Origin Realm. How many heavenly venerate experts are there in the army? More than 90% of the experts in Dream Origin Realm were in the army. Due to the 7th rank flying treasure and the fact that Tai Di was an extreme heavenly venerate expert, they did not encounter any danger along the way. After traveling for about half a year, we are about to arrive at White Flame Army's camp. Tai Di looked at the distant horizon and shouted, "White Flame Army?" The warriors of the Taiming tribe also looked forward, their eyes full of fiery gazes. Riverward also looked over, only to see a boundless army camp in the distant horizon. It was like a giant beast crawling on the vast earth, faintly emitting a boundless pressure that spread throughout this space. As the warship moved forward, the pressure became stronger. White Flame Army's camp. Jiang Xi's eyes were filled with fighting spirit. The army in Dream Origin Realm was divided into Mountain Shield Army, White Flame Army, Styx River Army, and Green Wind Army. There were 4 armies in total corresponding to Earth, Fire, Water, and Wind. Although the 4 armies were loyal to His Majesty the Deity King, there was also competition among them. Green Wind and White Flame are the strongest. The energy of myriad worlds' ruins is formed by the fusion of wind and fire. Jiang Xiai vaguely guessed something. It's huge! At this moment, the warriors in Taiming tribe exclaimed. As they got closer, they could feel the power of this army camp more clearly. It was too shocking. The army camp stretched as far as the eye could see. Warriors with spears and armors could be seen everywhere in the army camp. The weakest among them was a Dao Lord. The Dao Lord warriors in the army, except for the lack of flying treasures, their armors, soul armors, and weapons are all 6th rank. Jiang Xiai was also shocked. How many 6th rank treasures did these warriors have? They are really strong. It seems that the killer shadow sword is going to be upgraded. Before being sucked into Dream Origin Realm, he had used the killer shadow sword to devour many treasures in the Qingyuan tribe's treasure space. Now it had reached the peak of rank 8. The killer shadow sword was a special kind of origin treasure embryo. It could be upgraded by devouring other treasures. However, as the level of the treasure increased, the number of treasures it needed to devour would also increase greatly. Naturally, it needed more treasures to upgrade from rank 8 to rank 9. Roar! A ferocious beast roared. Jiang Xiai and the warriors of Taiming tribe looked over and saw an 8-legged ferocious beast in the long line below. It emitted an aura that was close to that of a celestial master. It was a half-step celestial master. Other than the tribal warriors, ferocious beasts from the ferocious beast forces will also join the army. Jiang Xiai was not surprised. About a quarter of the tribes and ferocious beast forces in Dream Origin Realm would send warriors to join the White Flame Army. With such a large number of warriors and the strict selection test, the warriors who wanted to join the army would line up in a long line every day. Boom! 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 As the warship of Taiming tribe landed, 2 other flying treasures on the surrounding plains landed almost at the same time. Obviously, they were there to send warriors over. Come out, hurry up! Don't be slow. Hurry up. While Celestial Master Tai Di was scolding, nearly 1,000 warriors of Taiming tribe and Jiang Xiai quickly arrived at the plains. Go over there and line up. Celestial Master Tai Di shouted. Go line up and wait for the selection test. You little brats, don't fail the selection test. Under the leadership of Celestial Master Tai Di, who was familiar with the army, everything went smoothly. Jiang Xiai and nearly 1,000 warriors of Taiming tribe soon arrived at the end of the long line. Uncle D, how long will it take? Tai Yin could not help asking. Jiang Xiai also looked ahead. The long line was crowded with people. To be exact, there were also many ferocious beasts in the line. The army ruled over the tribal forces and ferocious beasts. Both tribes and ferocious beasts could join the army. It seems that there are nearly 1 million people in the line now. Celestial Master Tai Di glanced at the line. Then he said, based on the normal progress, it should be your turn in half a month. Wait, don't be anxious. Calm down and prepare. Don't underestimate the basic selection test to join the army. 2/3 of these nearly 1 million warriors will perish in the first round. Only 1/3 will be able to join the army in the end. Jiang Xiai raised his eyebrows. This was a terrifying elimination rate. 2/3 of the warriors had perished in the first round of selection. It must be understood that these were all Dao Lords. Hundreds of thousands of Dao Lords. How many eternal experience points can I get if I kill all of them? Jiang Xiai was envious. Unfortunately, he could only watch and not eat. This was also the main reason he joined the army. The army would often send warriors to conquer some tribal forces and ferocious beasts. In these battles he could openly earn eternal experience points. Don't embarrass Taiming tribe. Celestial Master Tai Di shouted one last time before leaving to communicate with other celestial venerables in the distance. Haha, Golden Search tribe, your warriors are here too. They are all in high spirits. Taiming tribe is not bad either. The celestial venerables chatted and laughed. They were not in a hurry to leave. They wanted to wait for the warriors in the tribe to finish their selection test and see the final results before leaving. Time passed. Warriors from various tribes and ferocious beasts from various ferocious beasts' territories were constantly undergoing a cruel selection test. Roars, howls, and cries could be heard from the front. Clearly, the selection test to join the army was extremely strict. Jiang Xiai was also advancing with the team. Just as Celestial Master Tai Di had predicted, it was indeed his and Taiming tribe's turn after about half a month. Next batch of 4,000. All of you come in. At the front of the team, a ferocious beast covered in crimson scales shouted coldly. The 4,000 warriors and ferocious beasts, including Jiang Xiai and Taiming tribe, walked toward the huge stone arch at the front of the team under the guidance of 4 celestial venerables. Shanhai, kill with all your might later. If your performance is outstanding, you will have a chance to be selected into the special army. Tai Yan's eyes glowed red and were filled with crazy killing intent. Special army? Jiang Xiai moved his eyes as he did not know much about it. White Flame Army is divided into many army groups. More than 99% of them are ordinary army groups. Among the 4,000 warriors in our batch, there might not even be one who can enter the special army group, Tai Yan explained. But you are very powerful, even more powerful than me. You might have a chance to enter. By the way, remember when we enter, let's stay close to each other and take care of each other." Tai Yin grinned. After saying that, Jiang Xi, Tai Yin, and the 4,000 warriors entered the stone arch together. Boom! Instantly, space-time changed and they entered a vast and desolate land. The ground was covered with sand. "Where are we?" Jiang Xi immediately looked around. He could vaguely see that it was a desert with a radius of more than 100 million kilometers. Beyond that, there was only darkness. Even his spiritual sense could not detect it. This is the spacetime domain. The Dream Origin Realm's control of spacetime has reached a perfect level. It can turn illusion into reality. Jiang Xi exclaimed in his heart. He and Tai Yin stood together. The 1,000 warriors of Tai Ming tribe also stood in position. Just as everyone was looking around, an invisible pressure suddenly descended and shrouded the entire desert. All the warriors and beasts looked up. They saw a three-eyed man in black tight armor looking down with his cold vertical pupils. Swoosh swoosh. Suddenly, 2 rays of golden light were shot out from his vertical pupils. After the 2 rays of golden light landed in the desert, they curved and circled around the 4,000 warriors and beasts. One on the left and one on the right, the 4,000 warriors were divided into 2 groups. The 2,000 warriors and beasts on the left were shrouded in a layer of red light. The one on the right was shrouded in a layer of yellow light. The invisible pressure shrouded the 4,000 warriors and beasts in the desert, causing their hearts to palpitate. Even Jiang Xi felt a strong sense of danger. The pressure was not strong, but it was a kind of pressure that came from the life level. It was high and mighty, like a giant dragon overlooking ants. Jiang Xi and all the warriors and beasts understood that the three-eyed man had surpassed a celestial master. He was an eternal supreme who is not afraid of the calamity. Jiang Xi looked up. He finally saw a living eternal supreme with his own eyes. Chapter 656. In the spacetime domain, the desert with a radius of hundreds of millions of kilometers was shrouded in darkness. 4,000 warriors and beasts were divided into 2 groups. "You are divided into 2 groups." The three-eyed man looked down and said indifferently, "Kill each other and kill any opponent you see. When I ask you to stop, the last one alive will enter the army. If you have the strength, you can use it to your heart's content. If you have exceptional performance, you will have a chance to enter the special army. Let's begin." The three-eyed man shouted coldly. Then he disappeared into the darkness. In the desolate desert, the warriors and beasts of the 2 groups were shrouded in a layer of red and yellow light respectively. At this moment, both sides were filled with strong killing intent. The creatures of the Dream Origin Realm were born as warriors. They were not afraid of fighting and killing. "Damn it!" Tai Yin shouted angrily. Jiang Xi looked at the thousands of warriors from the Tai Ming tribe. Although they were together just now, there were still hundreds of them who were divided into the opposing group. No wonder Tai Yin asked me to stay close to him. Jiang Xi looked around again. "Kill! Kill! Kill! Roar!" The warriors and beasts of the 2 groups roared. They turned into streaks of lightning and attacked the opposing group. The warriors of the Tai Ming tribe had a tacit understanding. They would not fight with their own tribe's warriors. Instead, they chose to fight with other tribes' warriors or beasts. Everyone tried their best to use their strongest skills to kill every enemy they saw. Special army? Jiang Xi's eyes flashed fiercely. He already had a goal for this army trip. Firstly, he wanted to use the opportunity of the army to kill the experts of the tribes and beasts to gain eternal experience points. Secondly, he wanted to collect a large number of treasures from the army for the killer shadow sword to devour. Thirdly, he wanted to explore the secrets of the Dream Origin Realm. It would be best if he could obtain the core inheritance of the army. Since the Dream Origin Realm was left behind by a God King, the army with the highest strength might have the inheritance of the God King. Although he already had the inheritance of the God King Ba Yun and the inheritance of the God General Qing Yuan, no expert would think that they had enough inheritances. A new inheritance represented a new way of thinking about cultivation, This would be the foundation for him to cultivate to a higher level in the future. However, if one were to join a normal army, it would be extremely difficult to accomplish these three goals. If he wanted to join, he would have to join the special forces. Just like the army on Earth, there were special forces tens of thousands of years ago. The humans of the Tao Alliance, for example, would hold a 9 Realms Genius tournament every once in a while to select geniuses for special training. It was the same in the Dream Origin realm. The army here held the highest authority. They selected the elites from the Endless Army and nurtured them. Elite warriors were naturally more likely to obtain better treasures, inheritances, and other benefits. Boom! Boom! Broken limbs and blood of some experts flew everywhere, and then quickly merged back into one. The experts of the two camps were crazily killing each other. Kill! Jiang Xi wielded the slaughtering shadow sword and charged at the red light camp's warriors and dire beasts. Whenever he saw a red light, he would kill. The sword light formed a river, whistling as it swept out. The spacetime of the Dream Origin world was extremely stable. Even though so many Tao Lords were fighting, there were no spacetime ripples from the Qi Gatherer realm. The living beings of the Dream Origin world have been fighting since birth. Coupled with the complete inheritance and cultivation system, the experts here are generally stronger than the experts of the various factions in the Chaos Sea. Jiang Xi thought to himself. He could tell at a glance that the warriors and dire beasts were at least Aeon Realm Tao Lords, but their actual combat strength was at Universe Realm Tao Lords. In other words, including him, these 4,000 warriors and dire beasts were all top-notch Tao Lords. Even Tai Yen was covered in gray light. Every punch and claw had surpassed the limit of a Tao Lord and reached the level of a half-step heavenly venerable. As a genius of the Tai Ming tribe, Tai Yen had a Tier 7 armor treasure. Kill! Kill! In a group battle, if one was not careful, the experts of the opposing camp would attack. This made the battle even crazier. However, they were all top-notch Tao Lords. It was difficult to kill them in one blow. Because experts of this level fought very quickly, it was normal for 2/3 of them to die in 10 to 20 minutes. Therefore, those who were weaker were very vigilant. They wanted to stall for time and wait for the three-eyed man to stop. Then they would succeed. Those who were weaker were cautious. Those who were stronger were fighting with all their strength. Especially the two who had Tier 7 treasures. They were showing their strength to the fullest. They wanted to perform better and fight for a chance to join the special army. These two were Tai Yen from the Yellow Light Camp and an 8-hoofed dire beast from the Red Light Camp. They were both half-step heavenly venerables. Roar! The 8-hoofed dire beast roared and charged at Tai Yen. Die! You're the one who deserves to die. Tai Yen roared and punched. Boom! Boom! The two exchanged a few blows. Tai Yen's head was hit by the dire beast's giant claw and he was sent flying. He immediately stood up and said in shock and anger, "Body explosion secret technique? My father is the master of the Crimson Swallow Wilderness. This is the secret body explosion secret technique of the Crimson Swallow Wilderness." The 8-hoofed dire beast laughed. This made Tai Yan's expression turn even uglier. The body explosion secret technique could double or even increase one's strength by several times. He was no longer a match for the 8-hoofed dire beast. In the distance, Jiang Xi pierced a warrior from the opposing camp with his sword. After seeing Tai Yan's battle, he shouted, "Tai Yan, let me do it!" Boom! Jiang Xi charged at him like lightning. Okay. Tai Yan immediately retreated. In the short exchange just now, he had realized the power of the 8-hoofed dire beast. The 8-hoofed dire beast had a full set of Tier 7 treasures, and had displayed the body explosion secret technique. Although there were rules in the army that forbade retired experts from imparting the inheritance of the army, it was not a rule if it was created by oneself. The Crimson Swallow Wilderness was a super force among the dire beast tribes. They had 9 eternal supremes. The leader of the Crimson Swallow Wilderness was a Grand Supreme. The so-called Grand Supreme was an existence that had reached the eternal limit. One step further and they would be a super expert in the chaotic prime realm. It could be said that the Crimson Swallow Wilderness was a big shot in the entire Dream Origin realm. Even if all the tribesmen of the Tai Ming tribe went up to fight, they would not be able to defeat him with one hand. Die! The 8-hoofed dire beast roared and charged at Jiang Xi. Body eruption secret technique? Riverward's expression was calm and relaxed. This was because the two ultimate techniques of the 8 Clouds inheritance, 8 lives, and cloud annihilation targeted the body and the primordial spirit respectively. Among them, 8 lives attack was a secret technique that allowed one's body to explode. The 8-hoofed dire beast could only increase the strength of his body by 2 to 3 times. However, the first level of 8 lives could already increase the strength of his body by 100 times. Now, he had cultivated to the second level. Although he had not perfected it, the degree of explosion was far more than 100 times. It was easy to deal with the 8-hoofed dire beast. Slash. Jiang Xi's figure moved swiftly. Whoosh. He went behind the 8-hoofed dire beast in an instant. Then the killer shadow sword burst out with vigorous green sword light, completely entangling the 8-hoofed dire beast. The first move of the Mountain Sea Sword Scripture's Heavenly Way Scroll, Life Reincarnation. Roar! The 8-hoofed dire beast's body exploded and broke free from the green sword light. Although it was not injured, it consumed a lot of energy. The battle in the desert was very fierce. As time passed, warriors and beasts fell one after another. The craziest battle was undoubtedly between Jiang Xi and the 8-hoofed dire beast. The 8-hoofed dire beast had a set of 7th-level treasures and a body explosion secret technique. If not for Jiang Xi, it would definitely be the strongest candidate in this batch of candidates. Unfortunately, it met Jiang Xi. No matter how it exploded and attacked, it could not suppress Jiang Xi. You have less than half the energy in your body. You still want to fight me? Jiang Xi was also very crazy when he fought. His figure flashed like lightning and was terrifyingly fast. Of course, he did not need to use his full strength to deal with such a battle. After all, he was an outsider. If his performance was too eye-catching, it would be troublesome if he was noticed by the higher-ups in the army. Who knew if the Dream Origin Realm's attitude towards outsiders was friendly or hostile? Therefore, he only displayed the fighting strength of a half-step heavenly master. It was excellent but not abnormally strong. Such strength was enough. Boom! The 8-hoofed dire beast was sent flying by his sword. It smashed into the desert, causing sand to fly everywhere. More than half of the energy in its body was consumed, and its strength was 10 times weaker. It was no match for Jiang Xi at all. Stop! A powerful pressure instantly descended upon them. If the previous pressure was high and mighty, it was gentle and did not give off a strong sense of oppression. This time it was as if a miniature universe was pressing down on them. Boom! All the Tao Lord-level warriors and beasts who were fighting were crushed to the ground. Jiang Xi was no exception. Under the pressure of an eternal paragon, he could not resist at all. Is this the strength of an eternal paragon? It's just a thought. Jiang Xi was shocked. The three-eyed man walked down from the sky and looked at the last remaining warriors and beasts in the desert. At this moment, 981 of them were still alive. The others were all dead. You and you. The three-eyed man pointed at Jiang Xi and the 8-hoofed dire beast. Both of you join the Great Yin army. After saying that, he sank into the darkness again and disappeared. Haha, we survived. I joined the White Flame army. That guy with the sword is too terrifying. He killed hundreds of warriors and beasts in the beginning. Fortunately, he fought with Tuji of the Great Yanqi Wilderness in the end. Otherwise, we would be in trouble. The surviving warriors and beasts were extremely excited. Only a few were sad for the death of their companions. This was because they had experienced too many of their companions dying in battle since they were young. Moreover, there was a legend in the Dream Origin Realm that death was reincarnation. Therefore, the living beings in the Dream Origin Realm had long been used to death. Now, they would only bless their companions and would not be too sad. After all, most experts were destined to die on the path of the strong. Only a few could walk to the end. Now, 2/3 of them had died just by joining the army. The elimination rate in the future would be even higher. Quick, quick, quick. Move faster. A huge stone arch appeared out of thin air in the desert. The 3 celestial venerables who had brought them in at the beginning were shouting loudly. The surviving warriors and beasts did not dare to hesitate and hurriedly left this space. After all, the next batch of screening was about to begin. Both of you. One of the celestial venerables looked at Jiang Xi and the 8-hoofed beast. He said in a deep voice, "Come with me. I'll bring you to the great Yan army." Understood. Jiang Xi and the crippled eight-hoofed beast replied in unison. "Good luck, Shanhai." Tai Yin shouted. "Good luck to you too." Jiang Xi waved his hand. Just like that, he parted ways with this friend whom he had known for almost a year. In the army, such separation was too common, and individuals will had to obey the collective's will. Tai Yan's strength was still far from the requirements to join the Great Yan army. Although he was considered an elite, he was not a true genius. Naturally, he did not have the chance to join the special army. Perhaps he might be recruited if he performed well in the future. However, at that time it would not be the Great Yan army anymore. It would be another special army. Jiang Xi and the eight-hoofed beast followed behind the celestial venerables. They flew in the boundless military camp at almost the speed of light. There's a spatial restriction in the military camp. I can't exceed the speed of light, and I can't teleport, Jiang Xi thought to himself. At the same time, he checked his remaining experience points. Eternal experience points. 1,458 yuan. After cultivating in seclusion in the Qingyuan clan's treasure vault for 10,000 years, his experience points were almost depleted. In the previous battle, although he spent most of his time fighting Two Weasel, he still managed to kill over 100 warriors and ferocious beasts in the beginning. Many of the warriors and beasts who dared to participate in the selection were Universe Realm Dao Lords. In just one battle, he had earned more than 1,000 eternal experience points. I've earned so much in just one selection battle. What about the future? Jiang Xi was filled with anticipation. At this moment, a voice rang in Jiang Xi's ears. "My name is Tuatachi. I'm from the Great Scarlet Swallow Wilderness. My father is the Great Scarlet Swallow Wilderness Master. The Great Scarlet Swallow Wilderness Master." Jiang Xi turned around and chuckled. "I'm Shanhai. The 4 seas are my home." Oh, the eight-hoofed beast Tuatachi nodded. It also understood that in this vast dream origin realm, there were often tribal wars and murderous wars. Many tribesmen lost their homes and became wanderers. Of course, there were also those who were willing to wander around, in other words, travelers, using this as a way to hone themselves. "You're very powerful," Tuatachi praised. "You're not bad yourself," Jiang Xi said with a smile. "The White Flame Legion has many special legions. The Great Yan Legion is only one of them." Tuatachi sent a voice transmission again. There are very few genius warriors who can be selected to join the special legions during the initial selection. Moreover, they'll be assigned to many legions. This will cause the Great Yan Legion to only have the 2 of us as recruits in a short time. As for new recruits, they'll usually be looked down upon by the veterans. Therefore, Shanhai, the 2 of us have to work together in the future. Work together? Jiang Xi raised an eyebrow. "In the army, there's nothing but fighting," Tuatachi said. "Time and time again, those veterans who can enter the special legions are very talented. Moreover, they've long received the army's legacy. They've been cultivating and fighting for a long time. Moreover, they've been working together for a long time. They're definitely very powerful. If we don't work together, I'm afraid our days in the Great Yan Legion won't be easy." Jiang Xi blinked. He understood. Extremely powerful? That would depend on who he was compared to. With his current combat strength, only an eternal paragon could suppress him. No matter how powerful the Great Yan Legion's warriors were, could they be stronger than an eternal paragon? Chapter 657. The White Flame Army's camp was extremely vast. Jiang Xi and the eight-hoofed beast Tuatachi followed the heavenly venerate in red armor. They flew at light speed for a day before they arrived at a towering hall. The hall was bustling with activity. Warriors and beasts could be seen everywhere. All of them were extremely powerful and had a murderous aura about them. "Both of you, wait here," the red-armored heavenly venerate shouted. Jiang Xi and Tuatachi stopped outside the hall. They did not follow him. The red-armored heavenly venerate entered the hall alone. "What's this place?" Jiang Xi asked Tuatachi, who was next to him. This eight-hoofed beast had a strong background and knew more than him. He would not let go of such a good source of information. This is the White Flame Army's supply center. Tuatachi shook his head smugly. Then he smiled and said, the Great Yin Army supply center should be here. Look, many warriors are coming in and out. They must be here to exchange for supplies. Exchange for supplies? Jiang Xiai pretended to be surprised. That's right. Tuatachi nodded and explained. All the warriors in the army are honed through battles. In these battles of life and death, a large number of warriors would fall. Naturally, that's for ordinary warriors. If the warriors of the Great Yin Army were to fight similarly dangerous battles, the chances of them dying would be lower. This is because the battles of our special corps are more dangerous than theirs. Similarly, our spoils of war are more valuable. We can exchange them for military credits. We can exchange them for supplies. The more military credits you have, the better your performance, and the more benefits you'll get. Tuatachi's eyes shone brightly. You can even exchange for a squad of heavenly venerates as your personal guards. It's just that the amount of military merits required is also very frightening. Jiang Xiai smiled. Personal guards of a heavenly venerate? Unfortunately, the natives of the Dream Origin realm could not leave. Once they left this world, they would definitely die. Therefore, what Tuatachi was after was completely different from what he was after. What kind of military supplies are there? Riverward asked. Legacies, supreme treasures, and eternal shards. Tuatachi sounded excited. Eternal shards. Jiang Xiai was shocked. This was the first time he had heard this term from other experts. He had always thought that he was the only one who knew about this because it was converted from Eternal EXP through the interface. However, he did not expect Tuatachi to know about it as well. He could even exchange for eternal shards at the White Flame Army's military supply center. Jiang Xiai even suspected that many experts in Dream Origin realm knew about it. Tuatachi smiled and explained, you are a wandering traveler, so you might not know about the existence of the Shard of Eternity. My father is the Scarlet Swallow Desolate Lord, an eternal great paragon. He once told me that the essence of eternity is actually the accumulation of eternity shards. Tao Lords and Celestial Exalts could use eternal shards to improve their power as well. However, exchanging for eternal shards requires far too many military credits. Ordinary Tao Lords and Celestial Exalts aren't able to afford it at all. Jiang Xiai nodded. Killing a Universe Tao Lord gave him 9 eternal experience points, which was equivalent to 9 eternal shards. Although one could exchange for eternal fragments at the military supply center, the amount of military credits required would be massive. Although everyone knows that there are eternal shards at the military supply center, there aren't many who have the strength to exchange for them, Tuatachi said with a sigh. Jiang Xiai kept this in mind. This was unexpected news, but it could also be considered an unexpected gain. His experience points panel required experience points. Eternal experience points and eternal shards could be exchanged through the panel. To him, this was very valuable. He could exchange for eternal shards at the military supply center and convert them into eternal experience points to improve his cultivation base, Dao techniques, and mystic techniques. This way, his strength would improve even faster. He's here. Tuatachi suddenly looked at the entrance of the military supply hall. Jiang Xiai looked over as well. The red-armored Heavenly Venerable walked out and waved his hand. 2 beams of light descended and landed in front of Jiang Xiai and Tuatachi. Although you are only Tao Lord warriors, you are entering the Great Yin Army. Therefore, your treatment is 1 level higher. You will receive a Tier 7 armor treasure, Great Yin Armor. This Great Yin Armor will allow you to live longer in life and death battles in the future, especially after you become a recruit. The red-armored Heavenly Venerable said expressionlessly. Jiang Xiai looked at the Tier 7 armor treasure in his hand. He could not help but feel emotional. I've received a Tier 7 treasure just like that? It should be known that the appearance of a Tier 7 treasure in the Chaos Sea would cause bloodshed among the major factions apart from the 2 Holy Lands. Here, he had just joined the Great Yin Army of the White Flame Legion, and he had already received a Tier 7 treasure. Naturally, the ordinary soldiers of the White Flame Legion did not receive such treatment. They were given Tier 6 treasures. Hurry up and put them on. All soldiers of the Great Yin Army have to wear Great Yin armor. The red-armored heavenly venerable said coldly. Understood. Jiang Xi replied. It's not as good as mine, Tuatachi said through voice transmission. Jiang Xi smiled inwardly. Others coveted Tier 7 treasures, but he and Tuatachi did not care about them. For example, the black armor he wore was transformed from the Tier 9-7 mountain. It was only natural that it was a Tier 9 armor treasure. Tuatachi's father was an eternal grand paragon. Although the armor he gave him was only a Tier 7 treasure, it was comparable to a Tier 8 treasure in certain aspects. Moreover, the Scarlet Swallow Wilderness Lord did not give Tuatachi any good treasures to train his child. It's indeed too eye-catching for me to wear a Tier 9 treasure. Perhaps an eternal paragon who knows what's good for me will recognize me. I can wear this great yen armor whenever I want. Jiang Xi sent a strand of his spiritual sense to the great yen armor. It's easy to get it to recognize me as its master. Jiang Xi quickly succeeded in getting it to recognize him as its master. Swoosh! The Tier 9 black armor on his body vanished, and the great yen armor appeared on his body. It was a set of fiery red armor. From the helmet to the boots it was fully equipped. Tuatachi, who was standing next to him, had also put on the great yen armor. The fiery red armor on this 8-hoofed beast looked rather ferocious. Following that, the two of them followed the red-armored heavenly venerate and set off again. Then, at a speed close to the speed of light, they flew through the military camp for a total of 3 days before finally arriving at a vast lake. There were islands on the lake. There were at least 10 million of them. The diameter of the entire lake was measured in light years. At a glance, one could see many silhouettes, each of them wearing fiery red battle armor. They're obviously warriors from the Great Yen Army, Jiang Xi thought to himself. At this moment, the red-armored heavenly venerate shouted at the lake. These are the new recruits of the Great Yen Army. They're in the 4th platoon's 3rd platoon. His voice reverberated in the boundless lake. After shouting, the red-armored heavenly venerate glanced at Jiang Xi and Tuatachi. I hope I'll see you again. Swoosh! Then he turned into a streak of light and left. Soon after, figures flashed on the surface of the lake in the distance and flew toward them. They could not teleport in the military camp, but they could teleport in the lake. Soon enough, more than 20 figures teleported over and hovered in front of Jiang Xi and Tuatachi. Some of them were humanoid while others looked like beasts. They sized up the two new recruits. Tuatachi looked up and said loudly, My father is the wilderness lord of the Great Yanqi Wilderness. This is the army. Your father can't help you no matter how powerful he is. Among the 20 figures hovering in the air, a tall and burly man said with a stern expression, Both of you, tell me your names and what you're good at. I'm Tuatachi. I'm good with my body. My body can stretch up to 10 million kilometers. Tuatachi said confidently, having a big body is an advantage. The burly man nodded. Then he looked at Jiang Xi. What about you? I'm Shanhai. I'm slightly stronger than Tuatachi. I'm good with close-range combat. I'm more agile, Jiang Xi said calmly. The burly man had a pair of gray eyes. He scrutinized Riverward and Tuatachi before he said, Your talents should be considered normal in the Great Yen Army. However, our 3rd squad will be going on an expedition in half a month's time. You're unlucky to encounter a disaster-grade mission as soon as you arrive. The burly man shook his head. A disaster-grade mission? Tuatachi was shocked. Jiang Xi, on the other hand, looked at the 20 or so Great Yen Army soldiers in front of him thoughtfully. The burly man said, I'm the captain of the 3rd squad of the Great Yen Army's 4th squad. This is all the military rules and common sense in the army. You can figure out what to do on your own. Don't disturb your teammates when they're cultivating. As he spoke, he tossed out 2 white jade slips. Jiang Xi and Tuatachi caught them at the same time. Go back and cultivate. Prepare for the mission. The burly man shouted. Understood. Some of the soldiers replied loudly. Some of the soldiers ignored them. Clearly, this captain did not have enough authority. Let me remind you that the disaster grade mission is coming up soon. Both of you are unlucky. You should hurry up and receive the Great Yen Army's basic legacy. Learn as much as you can and increase your strength as much as you can. A crisp voice rang in the air. It was a woman who looked like an elf. Chengluan, do you really think these two newbies can survive this mission? They haven't received the basic legacy and haven't gone through enough training. How can they survive a disaster-grade mission? The soldiers shook their heads. Then they teleported back to the islands on the lake. They did not bother to talk to Jiang Xi and Tuatachi anymore. The captain and the elf woman exchanged a look. They did not say anything and teleported away. Only Jiang Xi and Tuatachi were left in the air. It seems like we're unlucky. Jiang Xi frowned slightly. Tuatachi, you know about the disaster-grade mission? Tuatachi said angrily, we're not unlucky. We're extremely unlucky. A soldier's life in the army is tempered by countless battles of life and death. These battles were all expeditionary missions issued by the army to attack the territories of the tribes and ferocious beasts. Among these missions, there'll be an extremely dangerous mission every epoch. It's a disaster-grade mission. Every 10,000 epochs, there'll be an even more terrifying mission. It's called a reincarnation mission. A reincarnation mission. Jiang Xi was shocked. It means that encountering a mission like that is equivalent to being reincarnated, Tuatachi said dejectedly. Jiang Xi nodded. The living beings in the dream origin realm treated death as reincarnation. However, based on what he heard, a reincarnation mission that appeared once every 10,000 epochs was quite dangerous. If we were in an ordinary army, we wouldn't have to be afraid even if it's a reincarnation mission. Tuatachi sounded slightly anxious, however. In a special army like the Great Yin Army, a normal mission is as dangerous as a normal army's reincarnation mission. As for a disaster-grade mission, it's a disaster for genius soldiers like us. A reincarnation mission is even more of a nightmare. Even the veteran soldiers who have experienced hundreds of battles will die in such a mission. Tuatachi sighed helplessly. Relatively speaking, the survival rate in an ordinary army is higher. Many Dao Lord soldiers have been honed in an ordinary army for a long time. Their strength has become very strong. In the end, they can survive a reincarnation mission. However, it's different in a special army. A disaster-grade mission can kill us recruits. Jiang Xi's expression changed slightly as well. Based on his understanding, out of 100 soldiers in an ordinary army, only 3 to 5 would survive and retire. Based on what Tuatachi said, the survival rate of soldiers in a special army was even lower. It was no wonder the captain of Squad 3 and the veteran soldiers did not pay much attention to them. You two new recruits might not even be able to survive, so who would want to waste their time on you? It could only be said that the selection system set by the godly king of the dream origin realm was too cruel and crazy. Just like raising Gu, it was only to select the strongest elite soldiers. Of course, although the missions in a special army are more dangerous, Tuatachi's eyes were filled with madness. The legacies we can obtain are more precious. It's easier for us to obtain stronger treasures and eternal fragments. Almost all the eternal supremes in our dream origin realm were trained from the special corps. An ordinary army is destined to be ordinary for life. Tuatachi's tone was filled with desire as he spoke. My father is the wilderness lord of Scarlet Swallow, the great eternal paragon. Of course, I want to be as strong as my father. I might even be stronger and become a divine general. Jiang Xi smiled but did not say anything. He felt that this eternal second generation was quite interesting. Let's go. We'll choose an island to stay on for the time being. Jiang Xi did not give Tuatachi a chance to speak. Although the information in the jade slip given by the captain was complicated, it was not much. It introduced the general rules and general knowledge. With Jiang Xi and Tuatachi's strength, they naturally grasped it easily according to the information in the jade slip. This lake was the Great Yin Army's camp. The Great Yin Army was divided into 4 brigades. They occupied the north, south, east, and west of the lake respectively. The 4th brigade that they were assigned to had a total of 9 squads. All of them were stationed in the northern district. Then each team was given an area. In this area, they could choose any ownerless island to use as their own cultivation area. Boom! Jiang Xi immediately teleported to the 4th Brigade's 3rd Squad's camp and found an ownerless island. With a wave of his hand, he condensed a stone house on the island and set up a formation. Then he settled down temporarily. Now I've successfully joined the army and the special army. As long as I pass the so-called disaster level missions, I'll be able to obtain eternal EXP and military merits through the many expeditions. Then, I'll exchange for treasures, legacies and eternal fragments. Jiang Xi's goal was clear. Of course, before that, I'll take a look at the Great Yan Army's basic legacies. Then he teleported away. Chapter 658. The basic legacies of the Great Yan Army were on the island at the center of the lake. Swoosh! Riverward teleported twice in a row and arrived at this island from his residence. There were stone pillars on the island, and a jade scroll was placed on top of each stone pillar. At this moment the eight-hoofed beast Tuatachi was receiving the legacies here. He had shrunk his body and was standing before a stone pillar. He held a jade slip in his hand and looked at it. Shanghai. Tuatachi sensed the commotion and immediately opened his eyes. With a flash he appeared before Jiang Xi. Why are you only here now? The disaster level mission is almost here, but you don't seem to be in a hurry. We have to hurry up and learn the basic legacies. Tuatachi reminded Lu Zhou. Although these are basic legacies, many of them can't be passed down to me by my father. They're very precious. For example, in an ordinary army, each legacy has to be exchanged with military merit points. Only special troops like us can obtain the basic inheritance for free as soon as we enter. However, the more profound ones have to be exchanged with military merit points. Hurry up. I'll continue comprehending them, Tuatachi said. He did not say anything else and hastily looked at the jade slips on the stone pillars. Jiang Xi shook his head with a smile. Then he looked at the stone pillars. There were 108 stone pillars on the island. Naturally, there were 108 basic legacy jade slips. It's too troublesome to check them one by one. With a thought, his spiritual consciousness spread out and seeped into each jade slip. Instantly, a large amount of information surged into his mind. Close combat, weapon refinement, nascent divinity, body combined attacks. After categorizing them, the information of these inheritances shocked Riverward greatly. He had thought these basic legacies that could be obtained for free would be ordinary. However, after looking through them, he discovered that they were not simple. They were very practical. There were many combat techniques, combined attacks, body eruption secret techniques, nascent divinity eruption secret techniques, and so on. They were very helpful in increasing one's combat strength. However, these were only suitable for Universe Realm Downlords. There was nothing else. For example, the body eruption secret technique was only at the first tier. Even if he cultivated it to perfection, he could only increase his body's eruption by 3 times. If he wanted to obtain more legacies, he would have to exchange his military merit points at the Quartermaster Hall soon. Jiang Xi had memorized all 108 basic inheritances and made a comparison. Compared to the core inheritance of the 8 Clouds legacy, it was naturally much weaker. However, compared to the hundreds of millions of outer legacies of the 8 Clouds legacy, these 108 basic legacies were definitely the best. Compared to the basic stage of the Qingyuan inheritance, its value was not inferior. According to Jiang Xi's understanding of the primordial realm civilization, any powerful super heritage would not be easily imparted to the outside world. It was rarely circulated in the outside world. Therefore, every super inheritance that could be cultivated to the chaotic prime realm, even the lowest chaotic prime divine general level, was extremely rare. If there was a continuation to the basic inheritance of the Great Yan Army that he had obtained today, it would definitely be a super inheritance that could allow him to cultivate to the chaos origin divine general realm. However, Jiang Xi knew that if he wanted to obtain more information about this military inheritance, he would need a huge amount of merit points. I have the complete set of 8 Clouds legacy and Qingyuan legacy, so I don't really need the legacy of the army. Moreover, among these 108 basic inheritances, there are explosive mystic techniques for one's body and essence soul. After learning these, I can use the explosive techniques of 8 Lives and Cloud Extinguisher. Although I can only reveal a very small part of them, it's enough to deal with many dangerous situations. Jiang Xi thought to himself. The Dream Origin Realm's control over legacies is very strict. If I directly use these two ultimate techniques, I might attract the army's attention. It will be troublesome then. This was one of the benefits he had obtained from obtaining the basic inheritance of the army. At the same time, in the human territory of the Fourth Universe, Jiang Xi's avatar and Tao Lord Nine Clouds met in the Skyspan Mountain River painting. Master, these are some of the basic inheritances I obtained from the White Flame Army. The explosive mystic techniques for one's body and essence soul, as well as some joint attack techniques, are very useful to us humans. Jiang Xi waved his hand and the 108 basic inheritances appeared. Explosive mystic techniques for one's body and essence soul? Tao Lord Nine Clouds immediately identified the two most valuable mystic techniques. Master, you have good eyesight. Such explosive techniques can only be created by super experts at the primordial chaos realm. They are very precious, said Jiang Xi with a smile. Then he solemnly exhorted, however, Master, you must remember that once you enter the Dream Origin realm, you must not use these special techniques that can only be created by super experts. Otherwise, you will be investigated by the army. If you are unable to explain the origins of these inheritances, your life might be in danger. The Dream Origin realm's control over legacies is very strict. I understand. Tao Lord Nine Clouds nodded and said, however, you have to be careful. According to the information I received, many factions have already sent the second batch of experts into the Dream Origin realm. However, the death rate is still very high. For example, the Heavenly Feather race of the First Universe had experts who entered the army. However, they were killed in the army camp after passing the selection test. There are very few Chaos Sea experts who can survive in the army. Jiang Xi smiled gently. Heavenly Feather race experts were killed in the army camp? How pitiful. According to his understanding of the military rules and common sense, the management of the ordinary armies in the Dream Origin realm was very lax. To be precise, it was deliberately done by the army's upper echelons. For example, in the Special Army, soldiers were forbidden from killing each other. There shouldn't be many experts in the entire Chaos Sea who can enter the Dream Origin realm who can join the Special Army, right? Jiang Xi thought to himself. This was his advantage and also his opportunity. After all, only in the Special Army could he have the opportunity to exchange for better legacies, supreme treasures and eternal fragments. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. He was good at gathering information. It seemed like Tuatachi had been prepared before he joined the army. He had only joined the army for a short while, and yet, he was already familiar with his surroundings. In this aspect he was inferior to Tuatachi. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Both of them quickly flew toward the island as they spoke. At this moment, more than 30 figures had gathered on the island. They were scattered all over the place. Jiang Xi looked at them briefly. Based on the way they were gathered, he could tell that they were divided into 3 groups. Captain Inji, whom he had met when he first arrived at the Great Yen Army, was a group. The kind-looking female elf Chung Luan was a group. There was another group that seemed cold and crazy. The 9 soldiers were basically all beasts. When Jiang Xi and Tuatachi arrived on the island, the soldiers of these 3 groups looked at them with hostile eyes. It was clear they were warning them not to get close. Both of them stood where they were, and did not approach any of the groups. Tuatachi transmitted his voice to them. The captain is fair, and Chung Luan is the kind-looking one. As for the 3-headed beast, Quan Zhu, he's a bloodthirsty and crazy fellow. The beasts in our group listened to him. If this were any other time, these 3 groups might try to rope in the 2 of us. However, we're about to embark on a disaster-level mission. We've never cooperated with them before, and we haven't practiced any joint attacks. Therefore, for the sake of their own lives, they won't let the new recruits join their groups at this time. Jiang Xi nodded. Everyone knew this. These 3 groups had been through countless life and death battles. Each group cooperated with each other very well. The warriors also knew each other's background. If they suddenly accepted new recruits, it would only disrupt their cooperation. Even the kind-looking Chung Luan would not accept them. Shanghai Tuatachi. Captain Inji looked at them and said indifferently, You can only rely on yourselves in this disaster-level mission. Do you understand? Of course we understand, Tuatachi said in a deep voice. Jiang Xi only nodded. Very good. Captain Inji did not say anything else. In his opinion, the two new recruits had not undergone enough training. They had only cultivated the basic inheritance for half a month. They did not even have enough military merits to exchange for life-saving items. When encountering such a disaster-level mission, unless they were extremely lucky, they were destined to die. Whoosh! 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 One figure after another landed in the three small groups. Soon, the soldiers of the third group were all present. Let's go and receive this mission, Captain Inji ordered. Whoosh! The three groups of the third group plus the two new recruits teleported away. Once they were outside the lake, they could only fly. This was a sinister hall that was completely black. There were many reliefs of experts carved on the walls. The 39 soldiers of the third squad had flown for nearly a day before arriving here. They had just approached the hall when boom! A beam of light enveloped all the soldiers of the third group. Instantly, a voice sounded in their minds. It was like a spiritual transmission, transmitting the mission content to each soldier. Mission location: Songming Mountain Range. Mission content: obtain 10,000 military merits. 1. Kill a Taoist Lord for 1 military merit point. 2. Kill a First Step Heavenly Master for 100 military merit points. 3. Kill a Second Step Heavenly Master for 1,000 military merit points. 4. Kill a Third Step Heavenly Master for 10,000 military merit points. 5. Military merit points need a corpse as proof. Mission time: must be completed within 10,000 years. Failure will be punished by military law. The mission description was very simple, but it made the soldiers of the third group change their expressions. Go to the Songming Mountain Range to kill a Heavenly Master or a Taoist Lord. This is big trouble. Tuatachi panicked. The Songming Mountain Range. Although that place is not as good as my father's Red Swallow Wilderness, it is still a very powerful force in the Dream Origin realm. Although the three Eternal Supremes can't attack at will, the number of Heavenly Master level beasts there is terrifying. Who knows how many Taoist Lord level beasts there are? If we go there now, it's no different from suicide. Tuatachi was really panicking. Before accepting the mission, he was quite confident. After all, he came from the Red Swallow Wilderness and his father was an Eternal Supremes. With this foundation, even if the disaster level mission was difficult, he could survive it. But now that he knew the mission content, he broke down. Jiang Xi frowned. He was also a little worried. The Songming Mountain Range was not a good place. Chapter 659. When Jiang Xi and the warriors from the Timing tribe came to the White Flame Army, they had passed through the Songming Mountain Range. It was an incomparably vast and boundless mountain range that stretched for tens of thousands of kilometers, could even be counted in light years. When he looked down at the mountain range from the warship, he could vaguely see many heavenly venerable level beasts in the mountain range that was shrouded in clouds. It was definitely a dangerous place that would make heavenly venerables tremble in fear. If it was a one-on-one battle without using the sky connecting tower, Jiang Xi was confident that he could kill a first step heavenly venerable. With some time, he could even kill a second step heavenly venerable. As for a third step heavenly venerable, he could not kill one unless he used the sky connecting tower. However, the current situation was to kill those heavenly venerables and Tao Lords in the Songming Mountain Range. In such a big place, those beasts would not be stupid enough to wait for them to kill. One could imagine that once the 39 Tao Lord warriors of the third squad started killing those beasts in the Songming Mountain Range, the beasts in the Songming Mountain Range could easily send out a team of heavenly venerable level beasts to wipe them out. What's worse is that the requirements of the mission are too crazy. I have to accumulate 10,000 military merits. Jiang Xi was speechless. In the eyes of the army, there is no difference between a desolate level Tao Lord and a cosmic level Tao Lord. Thus, even the simplest Daolord class wild beasts have to be killed, at least 10,000 of them. Tao Lords are the top existences in the Chaos Sea. However, in the Dream Origin world, they are the most common ordinary warriors. Whether it was tribal forces or dire beast forces, before these ordinary warriors joined the army, they would be protected. They might be able to kill 8 or 10 beasts in the Tsongming mountain range. However, if they kill too many, they will attract the attention of the heavenly venerables. At that time, they will be in danger of being surrounded. If thousands of heavenly venerables really come, I won't be able to escape even with the Sky Connecting Tower and the 8 Clouds Pavilion. This was what Jiang Xi was worried about. After all, the Dream Origin world was not the Chaos Sea. There were too many heavenly venerables here. As the saying went, there were as many as dogs. When he was wandering in the Chaos Sea, he had encountered many situations where he was surrounded by heavenly venerables. However, there were only a few heavenly venerables in the Chaos Sea. In total, there were only a little over 100. But in the Dream Origin realm, hundreds of celestial masters could be easily gathered. This is crazy. The only thing to be thankful for is that those Eternal Supremes won't take action during the army's mission. Otherwise, it would be suicide. There's no hope at all. Jiang Xi shook his head secretly. The army was the supreme ruler of the Dream Origin realm. All the tribes and beasts had to follow the army's orders. Under normal circumstances, when the army sent out a small team to attack a certain faction, the higher-ups of that faction would know that this small team was there to train. For example, their third squad posed no threat to the entire Tsongming mountain range. The 3 Eternal Supremes of the Tsongming mountain range definitely wouldn't intervene. As for the Celestial Exalts and Tao Lords below them, there were no restrictions at all. The mission is indeed very difficult. If we fail, Jiang Xi frowned. If he failed, he would be punished by military law. There was only one word to describe it: death. He couldn't even escape. With the military's authority in the Dream Origin realm, as long as the military gave an order, all the tribes and ferocious beasts in the world would help the military to kill the target. Of course, there was also a condition. If they had 100,000 military credits, they could offset the punishment of failing the mission and save their lives. However, 100,000 military credits was not a small number. Among the old soldiers of the Great Yan Army, there were probably not many who had this amount of military credits. At the very least, the third squad of the 4 brigades that Jiang Xi was in did not have it. Moreover, if they had so many military credits, they would have raised their strength long ago. Who would keep them in their hands? The 39 warriors of the third squad were all standing outside the Black Evil Hall, and they were all silent. Every soldier felt the pressure from the depths of their hearts. Everyone is clear about the mission. Captain Yingji looked at everyone and said in a deep voice, "The mission has specified the location. In other words, the Celestial Exalts and Tao Lords we have to kill must be from the Tsongming mountain range when we return to submit the mission. The army will definitely contact the Tsongming mountain range to confirm whether our military credits are real. If the mission doesn't specify the Tsongming mountain range, we can easily kill those Celestial Exalts if we join forces. Then we can kill them one by one. It'll only take us some time at most. However, now that the mission has been restricted to the Tsongming mountain range, we'll be surrounded by the Celestial Exalts and fierce beasts if we make a move there. At that time, none of us will be able to escape. We'll definitely die." The tall and burly Captain Yingji explained the pros and cons. Then, he looked at the soldiers and said solemnly, "That's why I think we have to join forces this time." "Join forces?" The 3-headed beast Quan Zhu sneered. He looked at Captain Yingji and the other 17 soldiers with a cold gaze. Then he sneered and said, "Captain, may I ask if I dare to join forces with you? Back then, I was only a new recruit who participated in an ordinary mission. I tried to curry favor with you and followed behind you, but what happened in the end? You used me as bait. If it weren't for my strong self-preservation skills and the treasures left behind by my ancestors before I joined the army, I'm afraid I would have died on my first mission. A captain like you wants us to join forces with you?" After Quan Zhu finished speaking, the other 8 soldiers behind him also looked at Captain Yingji mockingly. Yingji roared, "In the army, strength speaks. Every soldier's strength is different, so naturally their status is different. You were just a new recruit and didn't know anything. How can you blame me? This is a disaster-level mission. More than half of the soldiers will die. How many of you do you think will survive if the 9 of you work together? Captain, you don't have to worry about that. The three-headed beast, Quan Zhu, sneered. The 9 of us have lived and died together. We've already sworn that we're willing to hand our lives over to each other. As for you? We don't feel at ease leaving our lives in your hands. Hypocrite. Don't waste your time. Rope us in? I'm afraid you want to use us as cannon fodder at a critical moment again, right? The 8 soldiers behind Quan Zhu also roared. Quan Zhu looked at Zhang Xiai and Tuatachi and said indifferently, "You 2 recruits encountered a disaster-level mission as soon as you came in. Consider yourself unlucky. I'll give you a kind reminder. If Cheng Luan is willing to lead you, then it's fine. If it's this captain, then you have to be careful. He definitely wants to use you and send you to your deaths." Quan Zhu quickly finished speaking and finally laughed. "Haha, Captain, in order to not be used by you, we'll take our leave first." Then, he led the 8 dire beast warriors under his command to a dimensional whirlpool beside the black and sinister hall. It was a vortex channel specially created by the army's powerhouses. It could lead directly to the outside of the barracks. The 9 silhouettes instantly entered the vortex and disappeared. Captain Yinji's small group, the 18 soldiers, were naturally furious. They wanted to fight Quan Zhu just now but were stopped by their captain. "Cheng Luan, what about you?" Yinji looked at the elf girl. "No need." Cheng Luan smiled and shook her head. She refused without thinking. Moreover, she turned to look at Zhang Xiai and Tuatachi. "You 2 recruits, this is a disaster-level mission. I can't help you. However, it's a long journey from here to the Congming mountain range. There are all kinds of dangers along the way. I have a rank 7 flying treasure. I can take you to the Congming mountain range. We'll split up there." "Okay," Tuatachi hurriedly replied. "Okay." Zhang Xiai nodded. "Let's go," Cheng Luan ordered. She led the soldiers under her, as well as Zhang Xiai and Tuatachi. They flew towards the spatial vortex and left the barracks. In the end, only Captain Yinji's small group was left. Captain, don't worry about them. Without them, we can still complete this disaster-level mission," some soldiers said. The burly Captain Yinji looked at the spatial vortex and sneered. "Cheng Luan and Quan Zhu, how long have they been in the army? How many disaster-level missions have they completed? Do they really think every disaster-level mission is the same? This is the Congming mountain range. As far as I know, not long ago, the Congming mountain range had a huge battle with the Whirlpool Lake. Therefore, the alert level is greatly increased. If we want to survive this mission, we have to work together." Speaking up to here, Yinji shook his head. "Forget it. Since they are so confident, let's see how many of them will be left after this mission is over. Captain has survived a reincarnation-level mission. How can Cheng Luan and Quan Zhu compare to him? Yes, I'm afraid they won't be able to live to the next era." The soldiers under Yinji were filled with confidence. This was because their captain's strength was the undisputed number 1 in the 3rd squad. He had lived for a very long time. These soldiers knew that their captain was a little selfish. However, when they encountered some extremely dangerous missions, following such a captain might result in a few of them dying, but at the same time, a few of them would survive. However, following Cheng Luan and Quan Zhu might result in complete annihilation. "Let's go," Yinji ordered. "Yes," the soldiers replied. Whoosh! This group of soldiers quickly left. On the other side, Zhang Xiai and the others passed through the spatial vortex and arrived in the air above a forest outside the White Flame Army camp. The female elf, Cheng Luan, waved her hand and took out a rank 7 flying ship. Then, she and her soldiers quickly entered the flying ship. Zhang Xiai and Tuatachi also followed closely behind. It will take at least half a month to reach the Congming mountain range from here. Everyone prepare well, Cheng Luan said softly. Zhang Xiai stood in the flying ship space and looked down at the vast land below. He was not worried that Cheng Luan would have any bad intentions. If they were in the army camp, he would not dare to act rashly. However, now that they were out of the army camp, he did not have to worry so much. The strongest of these soldiers in front of him was only a half-step heavenly venerable. He could easily kill them. Therefore, he was at ease and boldly entered Cheng Luan's flying ship. At the same time, Jiang Xi followed Cheng Luan and the other soldiers to the Zhongming mountain range. In the White Flame Army camp, outside an ordinary army's quartermaster hall. This is the quartermaster hall? Heavenly Venerable Zhuoqing, who had pointy ears and an extremely handsome appearance, looked up at the hall. Zhuoqing, you've already received a Tier 7 armor treasure. Why are you still in the quartermaster hall? Another Heavenly Venerable asked curiously. Why do you care so much? Heavenly Venerable Zhuoqing turned around and glared. Then he said, wait for me. I'll go in and take a look. Then, he directly rushed into the quartermaster hall. Speaking of Heavenly Venerable Zhuoqing, his experience along the way was quite legendary. Back then, he was the first Chaos Sea expert to be swept into the Dream Origin realm. As soon as he arrived, he encountered a second step Heavenly Venerable Ferocious Beast. He fought with that ferocious beast for a long time and learned the language of this world. But then, he was chased by a group of Heavenly Venerable Ferocious Beasts. Fortunately, his body was very strong. He was close to a half-step supreme. Relying on his strong body, he escaped that pursuit. Then he roamed the Dream Origin realm. A Heavenly Venerable was already considered an expert in the Dream Origin realm. After all, Eternal Supremes were overlords here. Usually, they would stay in their lairs and not run around. Therefore, Heavenly Venerable Zhuoqing, who was close to a half-step supreme, encountered many dangerous situations along the way. But under caution, he did not fall into any real danger. Instead, he got to know many Heavenly Venerables in the Dream Origin realm, and gradually understood the general appearance of this world. Soon, he understood that the countless inheritances and treasures in the Dream Origin realm were gathered in the army. That was where the opportunities were. So he joined the army. Although in the Dream Origin realm, it was basically Dao Lord level warriors who joined the army. But there were still some native living beings with high talent who could cultivate to Heavenly Venerable before joining the army. Such warriors were naturally more welcomed by the army. Correspondingly, the selection test to join the army was much simpler. Basically, only 2 or 3 Heavenly Venerables would be eliminated out of 10. And Heavenly Venerable Zhuoqing was strong to begin with. He casually displayed some of his Heavenly Venerable strength and easily joined the army. He even obtained a Tier 7 armor treasure. If he was in the Chaos Sea in the past, he would naturally be overjoyed to obtain a Tier 7 treasure by chance. But now it was only a Tier 7 treasure. How could he be satisfied? Therefore, he went straight to the Quartermaster Hall, wanting to obtain more opportunities. This Quartermaster Hall belonged to an ordinary army of the White Flame Army. After Heavenly Venerable Zhuoqing entered, he felt a change in space-time, as if he had entered another world. This looks like what Red Lotus told me before. Eternal Supremacy's ability to turn the void into reality? To turn an illusory space-time domain into a real world. Heavenly Venerable Zhuoqing looked at the extremely realistic scene in front of him and exclaimed. He saw a very prosperous space-time in front of him. A large number of warriors were exchanging items here. There was a golden figure in front of each warrior. Just as Heavenly Venerable Zhuoqing was wondering what those golden figures were doing, another golden figure flew in front of him. Heavenly Venerable Warrior, state your request. The golden figure looked at Heavenly Venerable Zhuoqing expressionlessly. Only then did Heavenly Venerable Zhuoqing realize that these golden figures were service staff. To be precise, they were similar to puppets. He thought for a moment and said, I would like to see the list of items that can be exchanged. Sure. The golden figure waved his hand. 3 scrolls were opened in front of Heavenly Venerable Zhuoqing. Inheritance, treasure, eternal fragment. Heavenly Venerable Zhuoqing was stunned for a moment before he was overjoyed. He hurriedly opened the 3rd scroll. However, when he saw the information on it, his eyes widened and he smiled bitterly. What a loss! Chapter 660. Eternal Fragment. 100 military credits per piece, only available for special armies. That was what was written on the third scroll. What a huge loss. Heavenly Venerable Wuxia wanted to roar at the sky to vent his frustration. His body was close to that of a half-step Supreme, and he had once fought with Red Lotus Supreme. However, Red Lotus Supreme had succeeded in achieving eternity, and he hadn't managed to break through before the calamity arrived, so he was still a third-step Celestial Venerable. In the end, he had no choice but to rely on Red Lotus Supreme's eternal universe to achieve eternity. Although he hadn't achieved eternity, he was the only one in the entire primordial realm Chaos Sea who understood eternity apart from the two supreme beings. Of course, this didn't include Jiang Xi. If he did, the two supreme beings wouldn't be a match for Jiang Xi. Heavenly Venerable Wuxia knew the importance of eternal fragments to eternity, and he also knew that celestial venerables and Tao Lords could use them to improve their cultivation. However, even eternal supreme beings couldn't bestow such things to others. Therefore, in the entire Chaos Sea, he had never heard of an ownerless eternal fragment being circulated. Now, he saw it in the Army of Dream Origin sector. When he saw the words on the scroll, Heavenly Venerable Wuxia was overjoyed. However, when he saw the exchange conditions, he could only smile bitterly. Why should I join an ordinary army? Heavenly Venerable Wuxia was depressed. His body was close to that of a half-step Supreme. With such strength, he could easily join the special army if he performed well during the selection process. However, he was worried that if he performed too well, he might be noticed by the upper echelons of the army and risk being exposed. After all, he was an outsider. Once his identity was exposed, he would be in danger. Therefore, Heavenly Venerable Wuxia deliberately suppressed his strength when he joined the army, only displaying the strength of a first-step Celestial Venerable. If I knew there were eternal fragments, I would have joined the special army. Heavenly Venerable Wuxia smiled bitterly. It's not too late. If I perform well enough in an ordinary army, I can also join the special army. With my strength, it won't be difficult. He was full of anticipation. His miniature universe had been destroyed by the calamity, and he had long given up on the idea of achieving eternity. Now, when he saw that there were ownerless eternal fragments available for exchange, that idea started to beat in his heart. Perhaps he could find a way to achieve eternity in Dream Origin sector, even without a miniature universe. The Zhongming mountain range was an incomparably vast mountain range. There were countless ferocious beast experts entrenched here. It was a very powerful ferocious beast force. At this moment, in the outermost region of the Zhongming mountain range, whoosh! A black seventh order flying boat appeared out of thin air in a dense forest at the outermost periphery. Then one figure after another flew out, and the flying ship disappeared. It was the small group of Jiang Xi, Tuatachi, and Cheng Wan. After everyone came out, they were very vigilant and carefully observed their surroundings. We have arrived at the Zhongming mountain range. Cheng Wan looked at everyone. Shanhai Tuji, let's part ways here. I wish you two good luck. The other warriors also looked at Jiang Xi and Tuatachi and gave their blessings. Thanks a lot, Jiang Xi and Tuatachi said. Among the three groups in the third squad, the one that the two of them liked the most was Cheng Luan's group. However, this was a disaster-level mission, so it was normal for the other party to not bring them along. The two of them would not complain about anything. Let's go. Jiang Xi and Tuatachi transformed into streams of light and quietly flew into the forest. Teleportation would cause spatial fluctuations, and they might be noticed by the ferocious beasts in the mountain range. Therefore, they were very careful and only flew forward. Cheng Luan and the other warriors watched as Jiang Xi and Tuatachi left. The two recruits have already left. It's time for us to take action. Cheng Luan looked around. Clouds lingered as the roars of beasts could be heard from afar. Jiang Xi and Tuatachi, the two pitiful recruits, were at the outermost periphery of the Zhongming mountain range. They were carefully hiding in a lush bush. Back in the Great Yanqi wilderness, I could do whatever I wanted. No one dared to provoke me. But after coming to the Zhongming mountain range, it's like this. Tuatachi growled unwillingly. Jiang Xi smiled and shook his head. This eternal second generation. Don't think about such useless things. We have to at least survive this mission. If we don't complete the mission, your father won't be able to save you. Jiang Xi said. Tuatachi nodded and asked, "Then what do you think we should do now?" 10,000 military credits. There are many fierce beasts in the Congming mountain range, but once we start fighting, we will definitely be discovered. With our strength, the two of us can't even kill a first-step Empyrean, let alone complete the 10,000 military credits. Jiang Xi also frowned. Killing a first-step Empyrean was only 100 military credits. Did he really have to kill 100 first-step Empyreans? With his strength, he could indeed easily kill a first-step Empyrean. But in this environment, the fierce beasts in the Congming mountain range might not give him the chance to kill 100 first-step Empyreans. Mountain Sea, do you have any ideas? Tuatachi was very impatient. What's the rush? Jiang Xi shouted. The mission's duration is 10,000 years. We have enough time to slowly search for an opportunity. The time is quite long, but I still can't think of a way to complete the mission. Tuatachi was dejected. Tuatachi. Jiang Xi looked at the eight-hoofed fierce beast and said, "If you listen to me during this mission, we will move together. If you don't, then we will move alone." Tuatachi's eyes lit up. "You have a way? As long as you have a way to let us live, I will do whatever you want me to do. Of course, I won't do it if you want me to die. We can think of a way. Right now, we need to understand the situation in the outermost area of the Congming mountain range. Only then can we search for an opportunity. If we don't even understand the situation and start making plans, that would be stupid." Jiang Xi said. Tuatachi nodded repeatedly. "Let's go," Jiang Xi shouted. In the following days, Jiang Xi brought Tuatachi to the outskirts of the Congming mountain range and began to secretly investigate. Everything was done with caution. They had to understand the situation first before looking for an opportunity. In the blink of an eye, half a year passed. Whoosh whoosh. The wind howled in the mountains. Two figures that had shrunk to the size of a speck of dust were hiding in the bushes. It was Jiang Xi and Tuatachi. About 1,000,000 kilometers away, dozens of figures were engaged in a chaotic battle. Every one of them had the aura of a Tao Lord. "Trash from the Maelstrom tribe. You lost last time and now you dare to attack us? Roar! Everyone, attack together and kill the trash from the Maelstrom tribe." A giant beast covered in scales roared. Next to it were 12 other beasts that looked similar to it. "Roar! Kill these trash! Trash from the Maelstrom tribe." The group of beasts roared and charged at the group of muscular tribal warriors. The tribal warriors looked similar to humans, but they looked extremely barbaric. They all held huge axes and hammers and roared. "Last time you lost in the Congming mountain range. Our Maelstrom tribe won. Brothers, kill these beasts. Kill." Nearly 20 tribal warriors were all laughing wildly, looking extremely barbaric. They were fast and powerful, and they fought the beasts one after another. Suddenly, the space around them started to tremble. Turbulent energy formed a tide that wreaked havoc in the forest. The tribal warriors had the advantage in numbers, while the beasts had the advantage in numbers. It was hard to determine a winner in a short time. They're fighting each other in the mountain sea. Tuatachi looked carefully and transmitted his voice. Moreover, they don't have grade 7 armor treasures. This kind of battle will consume their energy quickly. I think it won't be long before someone dies. We can wait here and snatch the corpses of those vicious beasts. This disaster-level mission was to use the bodies as proof of military merit. Therefore, they didn't have to kill the beasts themselves. As long as they had the bodies of the beasts in the Congming mountain range, it would be fine. "Don't worry." Jiang Xi frowned and transmitted his voice. "We've been exploring the Congming mountain range for so long, and we haven't gotten any military merit." Tuatachi was very anxious. "Don't worry. Think about it. We've been exploring the Congming mountain range for so long, and we've found 3 battles." Jiang Xi transmitted his voice again. "The Congming mountain range occupies a vast area, and we've only explored a little. We've already found 3 battles. How many battles are there in the Congming mountain range?" Jiang Xi was very calm. Tuatachi was stunned. He thought carefully and said, "Tens of thousands?" After saying this, he turned pale with fright and realized that something was wrong. Jiang Xi continued, "Moreover, You should have noticed that the other beasts in the Tsongming mountain range must have sensed the huge commotion, but none of them came to help. We didn't hear the Maelstrom tribe's name in the previous 2 battles. What kind of power do you think the Maelstrom tribe is? The Maelstrom tribe? Tuatachi understood and explained. The Maelstrom tribe is located in the Maelstrom Lake. It's a very powerful tribe very close to the Tsongming mountain range. The Tsongming mountain range is led by 3 eternal sovereigns. The Maelstrom tribe is led by 4 eternal sovereigns, while the Maelstrom tribe is led by 4 eternal sovereigns. However, because these 2 forces were too big, they rarely fought and killed each other. After all, once a war breaks out, both sides will suffer great losses. No matter which side wins, it'll be a Pyrrhic victory. Jiang Xi listened and nodded. Many thoughts flashed through his mind, and then he asked, if these 2 powers aren't at war, will there be so many warriors and beasts fighting each other? No. Tuatachi immediately denied it. If there's no war, they'll restrain their warriors and prevent them from starting a war. Jiang Xi laughed and confirmed his guess. But now we've encountered 3 battles in a row. This means that the Tsongming mountain range and the Maelstrom tribe are at war. Perhaps this is the time when both sides are resting. That's why these Dao monarch warriors and beasts are fighting each other. What do you mean? Tuatachi asked. Since they're at war, let's think of a way to make the celestial venerables of both sides fight each other. Then we'll take the opportunity to collect the corpses. Jiang Xi said. Make the celestial venerables fight each other? That's too difficult. Tuatachi shook his head. It's indeed difficult to make a large group of celestial venerables fight each other, but it's possible to make individual celestial venerables fight each other. Jiang Xi smiled. He already had a plan. Listen to me. Follow me. Then Jiang Xi led Tuatachi through the bushes and headed to another place. The borders of the Azure Wave Mountains. Groups of Daolord warriors and wild beasts were engaged in small skirmishes here, and their neither side had any celestial venerables. For these 2 organizations, these Daolord battles were a form of tempering for their own Daolords before the true end war. The celestial venerables would not easily intervene. After all, celestial venerables were the backbone of any force in the Dream Origin realm. Kill! Kill! Burly tribal warriors stomped on the ground and charged towards the beasts. All of them were Dao monarchs. If they were in the Chaos Sea, they would definitely be the pillars of the various tribes. However, in the Dream Origin realm, Dao monarchs were the most ordinary existences. Moreover, only a place like this could easily withstand a battle of this level. So many Dao monarchs were fighting each other, but the space was so stable that there were no signs of cracks. If they were in the Chaos Sea, the void would have exploded long ago. Boom! A Daolord-level tribal warrior swung an enormous warhammer, smashing a wild beast flying backwards. In the next moment, another beast pounced on him and knocked him to the ground. The beast's fangs glinted coldly as it tried to tear the warrior's body apart. Crack! Then a giant axe fell and chopped off the beast's head. It was a chaotic battle. The tribal warriors and beasts in this area were fighting each other ferociously. Retreat! Tribe ancestor orders us to retreat immediately. The warriors of the Whirlpool tribe suddenly received the order to retreat. They did not continue fighting and obeyed the order. A group of tribal warriors retreated as they fought. Then they entered a warship and quickly left this area. Only a group of beasts were left, roaring in anger. Retreat! Retreat quickly! Tribe ancestor orders us to retreat. Almost at the same time, in the outermost area of the Tsongming mountain range, the tribal warriors who were fighting or hiding somewhere all received the order to retreat. These tribal warriors quickly retreated and left the Tsongming mountain range. Strange. Jiang Xi, who was quietly moving forward, suddenly stopped. Why can't I see any of the Whirlpool tribe's experts? Yeah, it's too strange. It's as if they all disappeared. Tuatachi was anxious. What should we do? How are we going to carry out your plan? How are we going to provoke them? Riverward frowned. This was an unexpected situation that he had not expected. According to his speculation, there were tens of thousands of small-scale Dao monarch battles in the outermost area of the Tsongming mountain range. With so many Dao monarchs, the Whirlpool tribe would send at least hundreds of thousands or even millions of them. And according to the degree of protection the Dream Origin plane gave their Dao monarchs, there would definitely be heavenly venerables secretly guarding them to prevent any special situations from happening. Jiang Xi had sneaked in just now to find the heavenly venerables of the Whirlpool tribe. Not to mention heavenly venerables, we can't even see a Dao monarch now. If this continues, when can we complete the mission? 10,000 military credits. Tuatachi was anxious and helpless. Clearly, he was very impatient. Cut the crap. Jiang Xi growled. This situation made him a little vexed. If the Whirlpool tribe really retreated and did not intend to start a war, his plan of benefiting from the conflict between the Sandpiper and the Clam could not be carried out. 10,000 military merits was a big problem for him. Chapter 661. Why aren't they fighting anymore? We found 6 battles between the Void World tribe and the Tsongming mountain range. Why can't we find any of them now? More than 10 figures were hiding in the grass. The leader was the captain of the 3rd squad, Yinji. The others were naturally the warriors following him. They had encountered 6 battles before, and they had waited until the end before finding the right opportunity to fight for the treasures. They had even disguised themselves as warriors of the Void World tribe to kill the Daolord beasts of the Tsongming mountain range. There were too many warriors of the Void World tribe anyway. Many of the Daolord warriors of the Void World tribe had never seen each other before, so they weren't afraid of being recognized. The beasts of the Tsongming mountain range wouldn't be able to tell if they were from the Void World tribe. They looked like humans at first glance. Then they were from the Void World tribe. Kill. Captain, what should we do? Yeah, should we continue to disguise ourselves as warriors and kill the beasts of the Tsongming mountain range? Some warriors couldn't help but ask their captain. Everyone was very anxious. Yinji's expression was indifferent, and he wasn't affected by this. He said in a low voice, "No, we haven't seen any Daolord warriors of the Void World tribe for so long. It's very likely that they've all retreated. If we continue to disguise ourselves, the experts of the Tsongming mountain range in charge of this battle will definitely suspect our identities." There were more than 10,000 small-scale battles before, but all of them suddenly disappeared. Only one battle is left. This abnormal situation will make them suspicious, and they might even send a team of celestial venerables over. At that time, none of us will be able to escape. Clearly, Yinji was very calm. After hearing this, the warriors all nodded. Then what should we do now? A warrior asked. Wait. Yinji's expression didn't change. The Void World tribe and the Tsongming mountain range are fighting so fiercely. Even if they stopped fighting, there should be many small-scale battles. Now that they've all stopped fighting, it's even stranger. We can't act rashly. At this moment, in the sky above a wasteland 100,000 light-years away from the Tsongming mountain range, many towering figures floated in the air. They all had extremely powerful auras, and there were nearly 10,000 of them. They were all celestial venerables. Occasionally, some celestial venerables would fly over from afar. Behind them, a large number of Daolord squads quickly. A dense cluster of Daolord warriors filled the skies. Patriarch, all the Daolord squads that went to the Tsongming mountain range to train, as well as the celestial venerate warriors that were secretly guarding it, have all returned. A 3rd step celestial venerate bowed respectfully towards the 3 figures at the very front. To be able to make a 3rd step Empyrean so respectful, he was naturally an eternal supreme. The Whirlpool tribe had 4 eternal supremes, and 3 of them had come this time. The 3 figures standing at the very top of the void were all exuding boundless power, affecting the void. In fact, the space-time where all the tribal warriors were now in was the space-time domain of their leader, the Eternal Supreme. Turning nothingness into reality, this was the technique of an eternal sovereign. The Tsongming mountain range has provoked my Void Thread tribe many times. An icy cold voice that contained boundless rage resounded through space. Last time, those ferocious beasts dared to attack our Void Wallow tribe. This time, we'll let them know that the Vortex tribe isn't a tribe that fierce beasts like them can provoke. What we need to do is to use death to punish the Tsongming mountain range. The cold voice was filled with intense killing intent. Punishment! 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 Instantly, angry roars resounded through the entire space-time, and all the tribal warriors were filled with fighting spirit. Let's go! The tribe ancestor who looked like a towering giant gave the order. Boom! Over 1,000,000 Tao monarchs and nearly 10,000 heavenly venerables suddenly disappeared along with space-time. In a forest at the outermost edge of the Tsongming mountain range, Jiang Xiai and Tuatachi were hiding in the grass, deep in thought. Now that all the warriors of the Whirlpool tribe had disappeared, their previous plan to reap the benefits could only be abandoned. Do we really have to go deep into the tiger's den? Jiang Xiai thought to himself. Going deep into the tiger's den was a last resort that Jiang Xiai had thought of. This was also why he had brought Tuatachi with him in the first place. Wandering tribal warriors naturally wouldn't dare to go deep into the Tsongming mountain range, but ferocious beasts could. He could hide in Tuatachi's treasure space and let Tuatachi go deep into the Tsongming mountain range to look for opportunities to hunt down lone heavenly venerables. Although it was dangerous, it was definitely better than waiting here. What should I choose? Jiang Xiai weighed the pros and cons in his mind. Once the heavenly venerables of the two factions started fighting, he could secretly attack and steal the corpses of the heavenly venerables. This was both safe and efficient. The downside was that the opportunity was too rare. Going deep into the tiger's den would give him more opportunities, but it would also be more dangerous. At this moment, Jiang Xiai sensed something and looked up. He saw a black mass of figures suddenly appear in the sky above the Tsongming mountain range. At a glance, there were more than 1,000,000 of these figures. These figures were incomparably majestic as they stood in the sky. Each of them was more than 10,000 kilometers tall. When they stood together, they were like endless black clouds that covered the entire sky. Whoosh! Jiang Xiai was stunned. His eyes widened. He had never seen such a shocking scene before. Although the White Flame Legion had far more Tao monarchs than the Black Cloud, the soldiers in the camp were scattered. The shock they gave him was definitely not as great as the millions of Tao monarchs. Millions of Tao monarchs. Experience points. Jiang Xi's eyes turned red again. War. Tuatachi also looked up excitedly. His eyes were filled with surprise. This is the war between the Whirlpool tribe and the Tsongming mountain range. This is the real war, not the small skirmishes from before. The three at the front must be eternal supremes. Even such experts have joined the battle. This is definitely a rare war in the entire Dream Origin sector. Ha ha ha, I'm so lucky to see such a war. I've only seen such a war since I was born in the Scarlet Swallow Wilderness. I didn't expect to see it again today. Tuatachi roared like a madman. Rumble. At this moment the sky changed color and space changed. In an instant, everything in the vast Tsongming mountain range disappeared, including Jiang Xiai, Tuatachi, Yinji, Changluan, Quanzhu, and the other warriors of the third squad who were hiding in other places. They were all trapped in an eternal spacetime. The outermost area of the Tsongming mountain range was covered by a gray spacetime barrier from top to bottom. It was as if the entire Tsongming mountain range was separated by an eternal spacetime at this moment. Turning void into reality. Eternal Supremes. Jiang Xiai held his breath. This was the first time he saw a real Eternal Supremes in action. After coming to the Dream Origin sector, he was no longer restricted by the laws of heaven and earth in the Chaos Sea. He could already check the complete legacies of 8 Clouds and Qingyuan. From these legacies, he had already learned many techniques of Eternal Supremes. Turning void into reality was the most iconic technique. It should be known that the spacetime domains of Tao Lords and Celestial Venerables were all illusory. However, Eternal Supremes could turn such illusory spacetime domains into reality. In the Dream Origin sector, every Eternal Supremes was an overlord. If they were in the Chaos Sea, they could use this technique to create an eternal universe so that they and their tribe would never fall. At this moment, the entire Tsongming mountain range was completely isolated from the outside world. It was surrounded by spacetime barriers in all directions. Idiots of the Whirlpool tribe, how dare you take the initiative to invade my Tsongming mountain range? A pleasant voice that sounded like the sound of spring water sounded directly in this spacetime. For a moment, the spacetime that enveloped the Tsongming mountain range fluctuated. as if there were two spacetimes that were fighting for control. Rumble. A large number of ferocious beasts suddenly rushed out from the depths of the Tsongming mountain range. Many heavenly venerable beasts gathered in groups. There were close to 10,000 of them, and they were roaring angrily. In front of these heavenly venerable beasts, there were three even larger figures. The leading ferocious beast had black scales all over its body. It looked like an octopus with many tentacles and a total of 9 heads. Each of them had a face similar to that of a human. It was beautiful and moving. She was Tsongming Supremes. In the Legends of the Dream Origin sector, she had been ruling the entire Tsongming mountain range. She was an extremely ancient and terrifying existence. Roar! Roar! When Tsongming Supremes rushed out with 2 other Supremes and close to 10,000 heavenly venerables, then a large number of Dao Lord-level beasts followed behind them. They covered the mountains and plains and gathered into a sea. Then they rushed into the sky one by one. The final battle was about to break out. In a lush bush at the outermost area of the Tsongming mountain range, Jiang Xi and Tu Itachi raised their heads carefully and watched the confrontation between the two forces in the sky. Tsongming Supremes are extremely powerful even among Eternal Supremes. Tu Itachi transmitted his voice filled with amazement. That's why the Tsongming mountain range has remained standing for countless years. Even my father, Scarlet Swallow Wilderness Lord, was amazed by Tsongming Supreme's strength. She's in existence close to Grand Supremes. It's just that she has a strange temper and is hard to please. That's why no Eternal Supremes have been willing to befriend her for so long. Tu Itachi told Riverward all the secret information he knew. Then how did the other 2 Supremes of the Tsongming mountain range come? Jiang Xi asked. That's because. Tu Itachi laughed strangely. They were chased by their enemies and had nowhere to run. That's why they had no choice but to rely on Tsongming Supremes, who have the worst temper. According to my father, he can destroy those 2 Eternal Supremes with a wave of his hand. Jiang Xi was shocked by his words. The gap between Eternal Supremes was so huge? On second thought, Jiang Xi understood. He was still a Dao Lord, but he could easily kill a first-step Heavenly Venerable. Scarlet Swallow Wilderness Lord was an Eternal Supremes. It was not difficult for him to kill an ordinary Supremes. Too sure, as far as I know, many powerful tribes and beasts only have Eternal Supremes at most. Could it be that there aren't any stronger than Eternal Supremes? Riverward probed. He was still not sure if there was a Chaos Prime super expert in the Dream Origin world. Stronger? Tu Itachi's eyes were burning with passion. The strongest tribe and beast forces in the Dream Origin world are only Eternal Supremes. Is there any stronger existence in the Dream Origin world? Yes. Tu Itachi's voice was filled with anticipation. Jiang Xi's eyes flickered. There really is. There are 4 armies in the Dream Origin world: Mountain Shield Army, White Flame Army, Styx River Army, and Green Wind Army. The 4 generals in charge of the 4 armies are existences beyond Eternal Supremes. Tu Itachi added, we call them Chaos Primordial Immortal Generals. They are the most capable generals of His Majesty the Divine King. Jiang Xi nodded slightly. It seemed that the strongest power in the Dream Origin world was Chaos Primordial Immortal Generals. There should not be any Chaos Primordial Immortal Kings. After all, His Majesty the Divine King had disappeared for a long time. He might even have died. Otherwise, so many experts in the Dream Origin world would not be trapped here for so long. When Jiang Xi and Tu Itachi were hiding in the grass and discussing with each other through voice transmission, the Eternal Supremes of the 2 forces in the sky were also negotiating. However, the negotiation fell apart after a short while. Tsongming, you are too arrogant. You really don't want to leave any soup when you eat meat and bones? Do you really think that the 4 Supremes of our Void tribe can't deal with you? You? You want to drink soup? Then join me and be my subordinates. If I am happy, I will reward you. How arrogant. Then you're the one who's courting death today. Warriors of the Void tribe, fight for me and punish these savage beasts. Along with the angry roars, the 2 forces in the sky started fighting. As the saying went, soldiers fought soldiers and generals fought generals. The experts of the 2 forces were rushing at each other rapidly. It's starting. Zhang Xiai looked up at the sky. He felt that the two dark clouds that covered half of the sky collided and merged together. It's starting. Tuatachi was also very excited. The situation of the battle was ever-changing. It was hard to say who would win. Although the Eternal Supremes had a great influence on the overall situation, in such a situation where both sides were evenly matched, the low-level warriors had a greater influence. Because when quantity reached a certain level, it could make up for the difference in quality. Dao Lords were indeed weaker than Celestial Masters. However, when tens of thousands of Dao Lords attacked together, they could still make Celestial Masters flee in panic. Celestial Masters were weaker than Eternal Supremes? Even when thousands of Celestial Masters attacked together, they could still fight Eternal Supremes head-on. This was the Dream Origin realm. The complete inheritance allowed them to have more combat skills. Their bodies and primordial spirits could unleash explosive power. Thousands of warriors could attack together and so on. This was something that the Chaos Sea couldn't compare to. Kill. Roar. Kill. 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 The sky darkened. The Zhongming mountain range that was enveloped by the eternal spacetime was in chaos. In the clash between the two super forces, the ones who died the fastest were the Dao Lord warriors and beasts. In the face of some terrifying group attacks and the full-strength attacks of Celestial Masters, many Dao Lords were swept away and killed directly. They didn't even have a chance to struggle. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.